of a battle cry. Some days, some nights, some live, some die in the name of the samurai. Some fight, some bleed, some up, some down, the sons of a battle cry. A battle cry.
Howdy, it's your old pal, Tiki the Hut. Thanks for joining me again on another Too Late Tonight with Tiki. We have some fun things to do tonight. We're going to be working on building some more Imperial Japanese troops, try and fill out some of the list that I have built. In addition to that, we're going to try and get some terrain finished for my face-to-face Conflict 47 demo game that I'll be doing here in Ocala, Florida. Super excited about that. It's going to be the first kind of face-to-face thing I'm doing as this floating and combobulated Tiki head. And we'll be doing demo games, 500-point demo games of Conflict 47, so I'm pretty excited about that. It's a modification on the top secret scenario for Conflict 47. Instead of just having an officer or a suitcase or anything like that, I actually have the 3 nuns that we've actually built and used on this channel. We built and painted them, sorry. So tonight we're going to be painting and working on terrain while also simultaneously building some troops, kind of getting 2 things knocked out at once. Some of the buildings that I'll be working on so you guys can see. I'm actually going to be working on some bridges. These came 3D printed, they were dark gray, kind of spray painted over them, or spray primered over them. I'm going to paint the actual tops of them kind of brown like it's a well-traveled path. And then I'll just make sure I do a shade on all these things to kind of bring it back down again. Scott the Bot, what's going on, buddy? How are you doing? Yes, so funny you mentioned that. The 2 hurricanes we've been hit with have blown over, however, / there's another possible tropical storm brewing. It's not Rafael. It's right now. It's just a numbered storm, but it's kind of off the Yucatan, between the Yucatan and Cuba, and some of the projections could show it could come right back into my neck of the woods of Florida. So we'll see how that goes. But good to hear from you, Scott. But yeah, overall, so while I'm chatting, tonight we'll be building some more troops. But first, I want to get some paint down on these on this terrain, getting this terrain ready. It came in kind of dark gray. Like I said, I spray primered it. That way I can go over it with a nice like wash and kind of make it look a little bit more aged and used. I think I'll put like a little bit more grass on it and things like that. We'll see where it goes. But right now I'm working on the bridge piece. Thanks for asking, Scott. I appreciate that. Ooh, Field of Glory. That sounds cool. Well, I hope you have a great time, Scott the Bot. I hope you have a great day of wargaming. May the dice forever be in your favor. That being said, speaking of rolling dice and the awesomeness that is tabletop wargaming, where do you stand on crooked dice? Me personally, I'm a live by the trade, die by the trade kind of guy. I think you alleviate a lot of unnecessary drama and stress if everybody just confines to rolling in the dice tray, and you just have the steadfast rule. If it's not in the tray, it doesn't count. But how do you feel about it, Scott? Just so you can see, this is kind of what we're working on right now. We're kind of putting a little dirt path on top of our bridge here. Because I'm doing a demo game. Like I said, I know building a paint train isn't the most interesting thing for y'all. So I try not to do it every stream, all stream. But I am trying to get some done because this is my designated hobby time during the week. Oh, thanks. Thanks, nerd. I appreciate it. Well, I hope you get some good sleep, brother. Thanks for taking the time to pop in. That actually means a lot. I hope you sleep well, man. Feel free to watch the stream later if you want to see what you missed. Hope you sleep well, buddy. Okay, so I appreciate that, Scott. I want to make sure I'm not too draconian or not too weird. It's just, you know, like I said, I cut my teeth, even though I started way back in the day playing Battlefield Gothic, way back in the day. I didn't really get into, not even competitive, but I didn't really get into serious wargaming, I guess, until like 6th and 7th edition 40k. And 7th edition had some, as they say politely in some countries, some chaos fuckery. So there's some weird stuff going on, some serious win at all cost players. So I started realizing that I think it's good to take proactive steps, not calling anyone a cheater or anything like that, but just take proactive steps to prevent that kind of thing from happening, you know? And so I've always been a live by the trade, die by the trade kind of guy. And the one time I didn't do that was the first ever game of Bolt Action I played, and I'm pretty sure that guy was fast rolling behind terrain, so I never know. It's the whole thing about paranoid. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you, you know. So I'm always curious what's my paranoia versus what's actually happening. So I figure it's better just to take that whole thing out of the system and just live by the trade, die by the trade. You know, I was a little worried how this is gonna look. I'm actually kind of liking it. Once I do some shading on the stones, maybe a little green, like grass in between the stones, I think it's gonna look pretty good. I appreciate your input, Scott. Like I said, I definitely like getting other people's opinions because I always worry, you know, that I'm just myself too draconian, you know? Because I also got to worry about, I'm trying to do demo games, so I don't want to be like super strict about rules in the very beginning for a demo game, you know, and set a bad precedent. But at the same point in time, I don't know, kind of torn. So I was hoping to pull the audience, as it were. You know, figure out everybody's input, because we all remember starting wargaming. You know, so think back to the best demo game you ever had. Like, what were some of the good takeaways if I could pick y'all's brain? Because I'm trying to bring more people into the Conflict 47 hobby. So, any advice y'all have for the old Tiki would be greatly appreciated. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use so this is some cheap I shouldn't say cheap, I'm sorry. This is some really affordable apple barrel paint from like a local craft store. Once this is done, I was actually gonna dry brush it with a lighter Citadel brown, like Mudfang brown, and then I was going to wash this with the actual path part with Nolan oil. However, the sides where the stones are, this is going to be washed with probably Earthshade maybe. Or the other way around. I'm not quite sure how I want to do the shades yet. But yeah, you're exactly right. And that's a good plan. What I plan to do is to dry brush it too. But I don't want to get two good coats of this paint on there. And it's that 3D resin, so you know it's that real spongy, thirsty material, so you really gotta slap some paint on that bad boy. Solid advice, Scott. I do appreciate that. And if I'm not mistaken, please feel free to correct me. Fields of Glory, I feel like is that American Civil War, or is that a different genre? Hey, Evolution again, what's going on, buddy? Hey man, yeah, tonight I'm painting a little bit of terrain, and then I'll be building some Imperial Japanese troops. We'll probably be doing some probably some forward air observers and some more special teams maybe. Oh, Ancients and Medieval. Ooh, that's really cool. Okay, I got you. Hey, what's going on, Matthew? How you doing, buddy? Glad you guys are all starting to show up. I greatly appreciate it, because I have a super important question for y'all. For y'all just joining me. I will be doing my first demo event. Like, kind of, I mean, I've ran a few at local stores. It's kind of like the first, I guess, one that's been announced on the internet. That doesn't really mean much, but it'll be over in Ocala, Florida, and horse country. So with that being said, since they'll be running a demo game, I would love, people in the chat would love y'all's input. You know, remembering back to the first time you guys had played a war game, like the first demo game you had. Could be for 40K, could be for bolt action, any game system. What were some of the do's and don'ts that you remember? What were some things you really, really liked about your demo game? What were some of the things that did in your demo game that you didn't like, or you feel like a waste of your time? I would love to poll the audience, you know, and pick y'all's brain about what's the best policy going forward. And this is currently what we're working on. We are working on putting the path down on these two bridges. So we'll get this this more affordable apple barrel brown paint down, probably 2 coats of it. Then we'll dry brush it. Then we'll probably hit it with a wash. simple but fun. Yes, that's solid advice. I definitely don't want to get them lost in the weeds, you know, when it's trying to focus on fun. Yeah, so as far as the question, that's a good point. So as far as the question for scale, I'm actually going with 500 point armies, and I'll let them pick either army. But the army that I think is most attractive, or the army I'll kind of steer them towards, is a little bit stronger than the other. You know, so that way it's kind of like, you know, let the Wookiee win, but not obviously win. You know, but if that makes sense. Both the armies, I said. One of them's my Tiki guys, which, you know, I mean, I think they look cool, but I'm partial to it. But the other one is the Cult of Imhotep, you know, with all the mummies and the tank with all the cool stuff written on it. So I feel like that'll really pull a lot of people's attention. And they're more familiar with that since it's based off a movie IP. So I'm kind of hoping that's the one they'll gravitate towards. But yeah, I'm trying to keep it real small. It's like 500 points, a couple dice per each side. Basically just run in, you know, grab one or a few of the nuns and try and make it off the board, and who knows which nun's real and which nun's the spy. So. Yeah, I'm definitely taking note of that. You guys are right. Keep it small, keep it simple but fun. So what we're doing tonight is I'm working on some terrain, getting it ready for the 25th, and then I'm also going to be building up a couple troops. Yeah, so that's why you see, if you haven't seen these, Scott, we painted these on camera. They're pretty humorous. These are our nuns. So the way it works is they're going to be writing 1, 2, or 3 on the bottom, and they'll be evenly spaced on the board. You know, they'll be in the center line on the board, but, you know, evenly spaced and triplet across the side of the board. And what it is we're both going to start off the board, and we can bring in models as we pull our order dice. And the objective is there's a spy in the village. We're both trying to find the spy. All we know is that she is posing as a nun. The problem is there's 3 nuns. So it gives you, you're still trying to learn the game, but it gives you the fun objective where, do you just grab one of them and pull them off the board? Or do you try and grab 2 of them? Or do you grab one and shoot the other 2? Or do you just try and kill all the enemy units so you get all 3 nuns? There's multiple different ways to skin that cat. I don't think it's too complex. I think it's kind of fun, and it kind of rewards people for their creativity, and I feel like that's a really good, like, lure into the game, you know, where you're kind of rewarding them for their small scale, small unit tactics and critical thinking. Because to me, that's it, and again, I'm just my opinion. I'm not a spokesperson, but to me, that's what Conflict 47 really is. It's the tactical crunchiness of bolt action, but with a little bit more laid back, less competitive, and a lot more creative, I think. I think they're both fun, so I can't say it's more fun, because that's kind of a shitty thing to say, and I don't really think it's true. There's no way to measure that, truly. But I think it lends more towards creativity than bolt action. Both in the modeling, painting, and also in the overall tactical thinking. And lore and story. Alright, we are working on our second bridge. getting this path set in. Ooh, this may be a little too much, but I think for these bridges, what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna shade all of it in earth shade, but I think down the middle of the pathway, you know, down the middle of it, I think I'm gonna do like a little bit of extra washing of Nolan oil to kind of show like where vehicles drive over it, you know, maybe like dry brush a little bit of extra dirt and stuff like that to make like tracks, kind of, you know, like tire tracks and tire marks kind of thing, and put like a little bit of oil from like vehicles driving over the bridge all the time, dripping oil. Because anyone who's ever operated around a German vehicle, be it military or otherwise, knows if it's leaking oil, that means it has oil and it's good. Not to throw shade, but man, I do not know what is up with German vehicles and oil. If you've ever done an oil change on a German-made car, I'm pretty sure you know what I'm thinking. You know what I mean. All right, we are doing good. We're doing good. Once we get 2 coats on this, then we're gonna pop over and start busting out some models. I'm hoping to have the new music set up by next stream. It just involves creating, downloading, and editing it into like a really long mix, you know, because the streams are for 4 hours, that way it doesn't repeat too much, and just kind of like matching up the songs and that whole. If you're edited, you know what I mean. It's fun, but it's just time consuming. So I was hoping I'd have it done by last week, but it's taken a little bit longer. And then once I have the home repairs done, because I said I'm still fixing some stuff around my house, and I had to call in general contractor to help out with some of the repairs from the storm. So once those are done, I can get back to, you know, actually doing full recordings and lore videos. So I'm trying to like do recording around when people aren't here. So it's still doable, it just takes longer. Yeah, Matthew gets it. Alright, while these bridges are drying, let's go ahead and get building some troops. So I'm not sure how you guys do it. The way I do it is like, I'll sit here and I'll kind of like theory hammer with some models that I have. Either models that I have built or models that I know I have in box ready to build, like in my pile of shame. And I'll work on different armies. So I still have the same core units. So when you see me build an army, it generally revolves around my Type 92 tankette, you know, my Chihas and things of that nature. But I also try to incorporate some of the models I have. So some of the models I really want to kind of start using as a Ford Air Observer. So I'm thinking those might be the first 3 models I build is a Air Observer and his 2 associates, but I'm not entirely sure yet. I think I have some anti-tank teams coming in, so I'm trying to figure out how to do that one. But I think just to be safe, what we're going to go with is we're going to build maybe a 15-man rifle team with the NCO first. That's what I'm thinking. Hey, what's going on, Francois? Welcome to the chat, man. So we're just about to start. We're painting some bridges, working on some terrain, and we're just about to start building some troops. And we were just chatting about what's the best way to do a demo game, like what are some of the best parts of a demo game. And I was actually about to put a poll in the chat, believe it or not. So let me get that. Let me get a poll going because I got a question for y'all. All right, there's a poll. So the reason why I bring that up is I'll be running a demo game, so I'm kind of curious, how y'all play it. I don't want to be too strict with rolling right out the gate doing a demo game. So my question for y'all are y'all more, live by the tray, die by the tray? Are you more, hey, as long as it's on the table, it's fine, as long as it's not crooked or it falls on the floor? Or do y'all subscribe more to the maybe a different one? I'd love to hear about it. All right, hey, take it easy, Scott. Good luck in your medieval and fantasy battles, man. Let me know how it goes. It sounds interesting. Sorry for that little muted section. I was just getting together some of my sprue, getting some of my parts together, figuring out what I want to build. See, that's what I'm thinking, evolution. I'm thinking encourage good habits from the get-go. At the same point in time, I don't want to be too crazy strict either. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys ever had the time to do. Have you ever seen... Oh man, sorry, the camera's a little blurry. Have you ever seen someone, like fast roll the dice or roll behind cover? I'm not a fan of that. That actually really bugs the piss out of me. I'm a live by the trade, die by the trade kind of guy. Because I think it's a heartbreak. A lot of, especially in bolt action, there's a lot of awesome cinematic style events that happen. You get so excited, like, oh, I need this 6, and I can take the tank out in one shot, and you roll a 6, but it's on the floor, so it doesn't count, and you gotta roll again. That's just a recipe for a heartbreak. That's like taking a cocktail waitress to prom. It's just gonna break your heart. It's So I'm like, I think it's better just to live by the trade, die by the trade. I think it sets fairness for everybody, especially I think in a teaching game, you can see everybody's dice, so I think it's easier to learn that way. I'm just worried I'll come off as a little too overbearing. I don't want to see if it's like... I want it to be fun and simple, but at the same point in time, I also do want to, like, teach good fundamentals, too. I'm the same way. I think if you remove some of these things from happening, you don't have to question these kind of things. I think it keeps it a gentleman's or a gentlewoman's sport, All right. So let's build us a kit bash from Warlord Games Air Observer. Yeah, and same thing. And also, I want them to see all the rolls I make too. That way, it's no like fudging. That's the other thing I like too. They don't have to worry about me trying to like throw the game to help them out. Yeah, I'm a huge live by the trade, die by the trade kind of guy. But again, I want to see. I kind of want to see what you guys think. Maybe you think maybe there's a better way to do it, or Maybe we're like, hey, as long as the dice is on the table and it's not crooked, it's good to go. I think everybody has their own style. I'm just kind of curious what they are. Ooh, a hot air balloon would be kind of cool, actually. That's actually pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Trying to figure out how I want to build them. I think I don't think I have any. I don't have any like little handheld flags, unfortunately. Funny you say that, Evolution. I have my I ordered my Kibatai models coming in, and I went with, I think they're not Sailor Moon. They're technically Sailor Venus. My wife was very quick to correct me. So I actually have those models coming in from Etsy, and I'm really excited. Those are going to be my, you know, nod towards anime and my Kibatai officers. They're inexperienced. They'll have S&G, so I actually think it's pretty hilarious. I'm looking at all these different. Sorry, what's taking me a while is I'm looking at my kits, trying to figure out what's the best way to kit bash a air observer. I know it seems a little boring, but I think I may just go with binoculars up and binoculars a one-hand map and the other hand kind of thing. Yeah, that may end up being the way I'm going, unfortunately. I know it's not super interesting, but it just seems like the best way I'm going to do it. Yeah, I don't think I have any really good radio bits, actually. That's what I was looking for. Even on my German sprue. I could probably ransack my Marine Corps one, but even then I don't really think I have any. Yeah, I think we was meant to go with the binoculars and the map. But so here's the question. What do you guys think? Should I do all, because I'm building mine as 3, because what I do mine as is they're air observers, and then once they call that strike in, if I don't have a heavy mortar in that army, then what they are is they just become another 3-person veteran machine gun team, or submachine gun team. So should I do them all as laying down? I feel like I should. Should like the forward observer himself be standing up, the other 2 be laying down, or should all 3 be laying down? I think I'm gonna do them all 3 laying down. I think that might be best, because I don't have a lot of laying down units, because I generally don't like them in like my bigger rifleman squads. So I should probably use these prone bases while I have them. Yeah, hopefully tonight we can get these 2 bridges fully painted up and maybe get a whole Air observer team completely done. Oh yeah, I know exactly the dirigible you're talking about. The Magic Carpet Airways. So funny you mentioned that. I actually have some 28mm planes coming in. Um, I think some I'm going to use as I'm going to paint as Imperial Japanese. They're definitely not. So everyone knows I like my Weird War stuff. So 2 are GB aircraft. If you know what a GB is, very small, single pilot aircraft. I think I just have 2 GBs and a really cool looking cargo plane coming in. Not even cargo plane. It's hard to describe. It's got a pusher engine, but it has like a bomber fuselage on like 2 short wings with like a P-38 tail. It's really weird, but it's super cool looking. But I am going to order some. I saw some 28mm float planes, so I'm probably going to order that. And I think that's going to be my aircraft or my air observer. Using that that balloon would be cool, but for the Cold Imhotep army, they'll probably just use the biplane from the first movie. I wanted to use a double-decker bus from the second movie for the for a truck for that army, but I just could not find one. I was gonna use it as like a pyramid tour bus kind of thing, you know, but I could not find one in the right scale. That is so far it's been the hardest model to find in 28mm was a double-decker bus. Yeah, if you ever noticed, I always take my my watch off for the stream. Sometimes you go see that. Sometimes in the beginning I'll have my watch on, then later I take it off and you see like my white arm underneath my watch hand. It's just a big kind of clunky watch, so it kind of makes, you know, painting a little hard sometimes when I'm leaning over and painting. So that's the only reason why I take it off. That none of the watch brands sponsor me, so I don't want to promote their stuff for free. I'll show them. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm not that petty. All right. So I have some German bits here. It sounds dumb, but imagine a double decker as like a gun truck. You know, like the whole top deck, it just has like 3 machine guns pointed out like in different angles. You know, and the bottom deck just holds all the troops. You know, so they pull up, the troops can easily get in and get out without ruining the fields of fire from the machine guns. The machine guns actually have an elevated position to shoot down at, and the whole top part is like sandbagged. It'd actually be really, oh damn it. It sounds like a really cool idea. I may have to build one of those. Damn. That actually sounded really cool. Kind of reminds me of like the battle bus from Command and Conquer Generals from the GLA. But on this one, machine guns are elevated on the top deck, so they can literally just shoot down and shoot long distance while the troops can just you know, infill and exfil super rapidly without having to worry about running into machine gunners' field of fire. It's actually really cool. Damn it. Curse you, mind. Stop thinking of cool things that I later have to build. Alright, and so because this observer is not a non-commissioned officer or an officer, instead instead of doing a samurai helmet, I'm actually going to do my, the netted, the Imperial Japanese helmet that has net on it, because with those ones are the ones I put the little grass tufts on. I like to use those for specialty troops and for, troops that will get like the infiltrator rule. So I do it for like my lunge mines, my machine gunners, their loaders, my mortar teams, stuff like that. So y'all can see I'm now stacking body parts like Dr. Frankenstein. We got two legs or one leg? Uh-oh. Ah, one leg, okay. Thought I was missing a leg. Gotta have my leg. So we have, cutting out the second leg now. We have 2 legs, 2 arms. Now we just need a head and his submachine gun. There's his bag, his canteen, an extra ammo pouch. Yeah, it's so funny when I said battle bus, made me realize like when I say battle bus, I think Command and Conquer's General, Command and Conquer General 0 Hour GLA. When they say battle bus now, like I think 99% of people will think Fortnite. So yeah, 2 wildly separate battle buses. So I'm trying to figure out which SMG to give him. I'm actually going to go with a German one because I want to make sure the actual air observer himself looks different from his two associates. So we'll give him the MP40, honestly. Ooh, yeah, Skyflower. That's right, Evolution. Look at the Skyflowers, Charlie, the Skyflowers. No, Matthew, I haven't heard about that, man. Lay the news on me, good brother. Fill me in. Give me the deets. What you got? I want to know. I want to know all the cool things. Ooh, yeah, that's probably right. Yeah, for Trench Crusade coming out. Hey, what's going on, Sean? Oh man, if you guys haven't seen, if you don't mind me talking about, if you haven't seen Sean's Night Goblins, they, I don't even know why I paint. I mean, I looked at the stuff I paint, I looked at his, and I was like, oof. His stuff looks phenomenal. You can check out our Morning Glory's Discord if you're part of it. Check out the old world. His models look absolutely phenomenal. As soon as I looked at him, I just like heard slowly in the background a crescendo of dun 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 dun. You know, this is Halloween. This is Halloween. Do 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 do. I could like literally hear the music while I looked at his models. Phenomenal. 3 mil Kickstarter. Oh my. That is quite insane. That's a lot of money for paint. All right, so we do have a poll going on. Sean, I know you just hopped in. Definitely check out the poll. I kind of want to figure out how people feel about dice rolling. I'm a live by the trade, die by the trade kind of guy. I like setting that because I'm going to be doing the demo game. So, you know, I don't want to be too strict, but I also want to set good examples, you know, in the very beginning kind of thing. You know, show people there's no wacka or anything like that. But I want to know how other people think. But on the flip side of that, I would love to know y'all's opinion. How do y'all feel about painting in the hobby? And what I mean by that, by the hobby, I mean overall tabletop wargaming. Whether you play or not. Again, a bit of an old beard. I remember perusing Daka website, looking at bat reps and armies while listening to Windows Media Player because YouTube wasn't even out yet. So back then, I felt like models weren't painted as well, maybe. Could be lack of experience, lack of talent, lack of access to painting tutorials, maybe, because there was no YouTube. A lot of goblin green bases, a lot of thick colors, thick coats. Red bolters, if you know what I mean, you know what I mean, you know? But I feel like lately, there's a lot of good, well-painted models. Maybe it's an increase in quality of paint. You know, we start talking about speed paints and contrast paints and things like that. Maybe that's it. Yeah, I'm thinking you're right. I think it was just lack of knowledge and lack of access to knowledge. Like with YouTube, you know, painting tutorials became very easy to find, very easy to do. You know, but back then you had to like buy a copy of White Dwarf, look at a couple like still painted things, and or like go to a store and have someone actually teach you how to paint. Even then, as a kid, that's kind of nerve-wracking and makes you kind of nervous. I think the rise in YouTube led to an overall rise in painting ability. I think that overall rise in painting ability created a demand, and they filled that demand with the supply of better paints, aka contrast and speed paints. Hey, that's just Tiki's opinion, man. I don't. Do you see my model? Look at my models. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I just slapped paint on those bad boys. Alright. He does need, as, man, not a lot of Imperial Japanese Army aviation, so, guys, I guess technically it'd be an Imperial Japanese Navy attaché, but either way, as a forward air observer, he was likely a trained aviator, because they generally did dual tours of forward air control from, like, one of their, like, Jake planes, which is like the old Imperial Japanese float planes. You're not sure what a Jake is. And then they also spend time on the ground observing. So with that being said, long story short, I need to make sure I give him a pistol. I guess that would make him an officer, but I don't know. Now we'll just run it as he's kind of a specialist and just maybe just an NCO. So yeah, maybe we won't give him a pistol. Let's give him his SMG mags. You guys know me, I'm a stickler for troops actually having the gear that they need. Yeah, so if you do hear, I guess, like Mordianisms, it's not me trying to be a cheap intimidation. I think it's just intimidation is the highest form of flattery, and just, you know, it's just naturally having an influence on how I would do a live stream, you know? So, I definitely heard it too when I said it. I'm like, oh man, it kind of sounded like Mordian. That wasn't my intent, it's just naturally kind of how it played out, I guess, a little bit. I don't know, I think it boils down to the whole, at least for me anyways, where I don't want to, it sounds silly, but I would never want to influence anybody. That's not the point of these streams, I guess. It's really just like kind of a virtual hangout spot for us. You know, it's chit and chat. It's as much y'all stream as it is mine. But I would hate to like actually influence somebody. I don't want to have that, that power, that responsibility, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm like, hey, that's just my opinion. It's not worth anything more than anyone else's, you know? But with that being said, something really cool, if you guys look on the stream, there's actually a new category up there. It's the CATC. That's the Clash of the Caribbean, through sales on the sites. And I'll go ahead and drop the link in about halfway through the stream. Luckily from sales, from the merch shop, as a stream, we've already raised $13. That's going to go towards buying prizes for Clash of the Caribbean tournament and stuff like that. So that's actually really cool. I just want to show you guys. I update that every time it changes. I'll add stuff in there in between streams. That way it puts a little transparency in there and you guys can see what you're raising. And then I'll show you guys what it goes towards. Right now we already have a damn good prize pool, because anything I win in tournaments or events I go to, If it's not something I collect or build, I just put it like in a prize box to give away later. Not like in a rude way, not like an elephant gift, you know, but just like, oh, hey, you know, a good example, I have a box of Fallschirmjägers, right? I guess like the older Fallschirmjägers, now there's some new winter ones out. So I have a box of older Fallschirmjägers. Super cool, right? It's tempting to rip it open and use it for bits, but I'm not going to. I don't play Fallschirmjäger, so I'm keeping it in the box, and it'll be one of the prizes. Ooh, I was just looking at Nambu pistols. Matthew, like an 8mm. Yeah, those are expensive. You can find a non-baby Nambu because they come in like grandpapa, regular, and baby. You can find a regular Nambu in a beat-up condition with a non-matching magazine, which means it may work, it may not. Probably lowball for like 500 or 600. But yeah, one with a matching magazine, especially if it comes from the Tokyo Arsenal. That's gonna be, yeah, that's definitely gonna be 2K American. Easy. Alright, we got all the bits over here, so let's get this guy glued and assembled, and we'll go back and put another coat on our bridges. Something I'm trying to be better about is having like 2 projects kind of going at once. We'll see if it like kind of doubles my production. Yeah, it doesn't help that I have a very bizarre accent. I blame just traveling and being around a lot of people, thinking of a lot of stuff, and my own bad habits of pronunciation. Especially when I get tired, I get lazy with my pronunciation. Like one of my favorite ones, and Mrs. Tiki gives me shit for this all the time. And I think you guys have picked up on the streams as well. I am very lazy when I say the word, and I have to say it slow. Horror, as in HORROR, like a horror movie. Because when I say it, it comes out like the world's oldest profession. Which is ironic how often those two traits, those two topics coincide. But it's one of the words that I'm super lazy about pronouncing it clearly. And it generally leads to some absolute hilarious shenanigans. Yeah, you may think you talk normal, and then I recommend people stream, and then go back and listen to your streams every now and then for like quality control, not for like narcissism. And you're like, ooh, that's not good. You're like, ooh, I need to make sure I enunciate a little bit on that one. It'll definitely make you realize some things. That's for sure. Just glad there's not a blockbuster because I walk in and ask for a horror movie. That could go one of two ways. uh Nah, my old Texas draw doesn't come out unless I'm hanging around my family too long, unless I'm super tired or it's early in the morning. I'm not awake enough to catch it. So when you're building these Imperial Japanese, I'm not gonna lie, the prone models, now I remember why I avoid them. Doing the legs is a pain in the ass because the legs are entirely separate from the body laying down, so you have to like do it just right. It's kind of a huge pain in the ass. Alright, he's taking shape. He's got his book out. He'll put his arm down with his binoculars. He'll put his head on. Then we'll probably sling his MP40 around his back, probably. I say, but probably map. Oh, these models can be kind of a pain. It's alright. It's both the, it's like the fun frustration of kit, not kit bashing, because it's really not. I mean, these are all for mostly the same kits. You know, building how they're not 100% designed to go together. You're going to run into some, like, minor issues. It's both fun, and I think sometimes it can be frustrating. I think you just have to be in the right mood. So it's just like, if you don't feel like painting, don't paint. I know everybody else is like, no, just... maybe people don't say that, but I'm always leery sometimes when I hear people give the advice like, if you don't, if you have a lot of models to paint, it's best just to sit down and get it knocked out. I don't feel that way. I mean, I feel like if you want to paint, then paint. It's kind of like make hay while the sun's shining. If you feel like painting, try and get a lot of painting done. But on days you don't feel like painting and you have to like really force yourself to sit down and paint, probably not a good day to paint your models. I think it's doubly true for kit bashing. If you want to kit bash your models, do it. If you're not sure but you need to get some models built, I think you're going to get really frustrated when things don't go the way you want. I know I'm not saying anything revolutionary, it's just like common sense, like our modeling common sense, I guess, but... Alright, that's what we have so far. Probably have to readjust this leg once we finish. So what I'm thinking is, I'm gonna sling his MP40 before I put his head on. I think that might be the best bet. Come here, you little bastard. All right. So yeah, I think I'm gonna glue his gear on him first, then sling his submachine gun, then put his head on last. Thinking that's gonna be the best course of action. And I know it's not historically accurate, but I'm probably gonna give his. Actually, you know what? Take it back. I think I saw him. I think I saw some Italian parachute guys have ammo pouches on their drop leg, all the way back in WW2. So it's not super accurate, I guess, but could have happened. That makes sense, and I think when you do it that way, Sean, when you do a little bit each day, I think that's how you build talent and build skill. As you can tell, I definitely don't do it every day. Something I do every day, I almost said do, which, you know, you probably should. But something that I try and make a conscious effort to do each day, regardless if it's a work day or not, is read. It's not going to be a little reading rainbow segment, I promise. But I actually try and read for at least an hour and a half. I'll wake up early before work, get a nice cup of coffee, go outside, and I'm talking read not on my phone. It's tempting because Kindle's right there with all my stuff on it, but I try and grab an actual book and read. Just like I'll show you guys what I'm currently reading right now. Show you what a nerd I am. Sorry about that, I had something resting on my books as soon as I pulled it. Some stuff slipped off. So, let me turn down the brightness so I don't blind you. It's actually what I'm reading right now. It's a really good encyclopedia about the Special Naval Landing Force. Some of you might recognize the bookmark. Definitely a relic of the past. If you know the Flash, you know. But it's always been a good bookmark of mine. So yeah, that's a book that I try and read. That's what I'm working on now. I grab a lot of the Osprey books. They're generally pretty good reading, or I'll pick up a different type of encyclopedia or more non-fiction style thing, just to kind of increase the knowledge a little bit. Evolution. Reading Rainbow. To me, the reason why I do a physical book is because I currently work remote. I work from my home. And the job that I do, it's not... If I were to describe it, it sounds cooler than what it is. It's not cool, but what it is, I have to be tapped into a lot of different types of data and media. And I have to, like... It's weird. It's kind of like... Trying to describe it not in a cool way. It's kind of like Matrix, where you're kind of like plugged in, kind of, and you have to like monitor different stuff and report on it. And there's like a very, very quick response time you have to have. So with that being said, I have to be tapped into multiple different audios and visuals. And so when I'm outside of work, this is why I like, you know, touching models and painting and building or reading a physical book. I think it kind of helps my eyes, and it kind of helps my, I guess, my soul. for lack of a better sense. I'm very lucky to still have to work from a remote job. I understand that. I understand that's very lucky of me. I know that, and I'm appreciative of it. But the reason why I have it is because I also do the job. If that makes sense. It's not like I just won the lottery. I had to earn that job and had to keep it. Alright, here's our guy so far. A little bit of detail you can see. So he doesn't have a head yet. As you can tell, that might be an important piece for an air observer, one might say, being able to see and having a cranium. But as you can tell, he has his right arm holding some binoculars, his left arm holding what could either be a book or a map. You know, I'll probably paint it like a map. He has a bread bag and a canteen on his right hip. Being Imperial Japanese Army, he does have his triple ammo pouches. You know, one at his, 2 o'clock, one at his 10 o'clock, and then one at his 6. But on him, he also has some S&G mag pouches on his bottom left leg and a drop leg, and then he has his MP40 kind of slung across his back. So with him being an air observer, I guess it kind of makes more sense for him having, in my own headcanon, why he'd have a German SMG. I just did it so that he'll stand out versus the other two people in his team, so you can tell which one's the actual air observer and which ones are his two, meat shields. But realistically, we could say that, hey, he's been doing this shit since the 30s. After spotting, strikes from Jakes and Vals and mainland China, he then went over and assisted the Condor Legion in the Spanish Civil War. Then came back as like a attaché exchange with Germany and Japan. So there's fun ways I can kind of headcanon it, where it actually makes sense. It's funny you mentioned that, Matthew. I think we talked about the stream how much I like pipe, especially in the field. But I don't smoke cigars inside the house. I smoke that outside on my patio. But I do smoke a pipe indoors. Every November, Mrs. Tiki and I will do like a huge Lord of the Rings marathon. So generally, anytime we're watching The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, I'll smoke a pipe, just for fun. But also when I'm in my study, and yeah. It sounds bougie, but I don't have kids, so my house had like multiple spare bedrooms. So we agreed to turn one into a study because we both have a lot of books. We both teach a lot, so there's a lot of reference books we need. So we actually have a legit study. It sounds more bougie than it is. It really is just like shit tons of college books. Anyways, but I have a decent chair in there, so I'll actually sit and smoke a pipe in my study. I feel like I sound like Frasier. It's funny. One of my favorite places to smoke a pipe, if you've never done this, I highly recommend it. If you ever go kayaking, I actually have corncob pipe. That's what I use my corncob pipe for. My Missouri Meerschaw, whatever it is, the little corncob pipes. I like to use those especially with like a rubber tip that I can kind of chew on a little bit. I like to use those when I'm kayaking. So I'll literally be like kayaking up and down a river, or like kayaking across a lake or something like that. And I'll literally have a pipe in my mouth and just like literally just be huffing and puffing on the pipe. So it actually looks like a little steamboat kind of going across the water. Oh yeah, no, that was super big deal for us to have a study. It's actually really nice. I like it. Neither her or I were really big, neither of the ones really big about keeping stuff from our time in the military as far as like awards like that. We both avoided dress uniforms like the plague. It just wasn't our scene. But the few medals and accoutrements we do have, they're kind of all up in our study along with our books and just like different items we picked up from our travels, which are kind of cool. Especially with the way that, I don't know, I think books will go the way that video games will. You know, sometimes like there's great video games I wish I could play, but if you don't have my physical copy, you can't get a hold of them anymore. So not to be all tinfoil hat on you guys, but I'm scared that'll happen with books. You know, or actually, you know what? Great example here. My beloved Dungeons and Dragons books. I got a lot of the books that I like in physical copy, and I'm glad because all the ones I have electronic copy were edited. Books that I paid money for to have an electronic version have been edited after I bought them. I am 100% not a fan of that. So I'm very glad that I have the physical books that have not been edited post-purchase. Yep, I actually have some butter rum tobacco. It's actually pretty good stuff. I used a couple different types of pipe tobacco. It keeps, man, as long as you keep them in their tins, it keeps better than cigars do. So that's why I'm a huge fan. But oh yeah, smoking in the study is nice. But yeah, just reading a physical book, man, just an hour a day. I feel like it really like I can feel it like working on my eyes. It's almost like working out, like working a muscle. You can just feel it working your eyeballs. And I will say this, so I do teach, not I guess not professionally because I'm not paid. I'm just a guest lecturer, as it were. But something I notice with assignments for modern day college students, and do this information as you see fit, or take it as you will, but I notice a lack of reading stamina. You know, if you tell someone like, oh yeah, go dig in the regs, go dig in the regulation, or go dig in the manual for it, and some people are just like, no. They'll read like 2 pages then just quit. I'm like, you have to read like the whole 160-page manual. Like, I don't understand. All right. Enough of old man complaints about reading. Here is our air observer. So you guys can see the MP40 on his back. You can see the drop leg mag pouch on his left leg. If we tilt him up, you can tell he has his book out where he's double checking it. It could also be like a little silhouette book, where he could be like, oh hey, if it looks like this, it's probably this kind of tank. If it looks like that, it's probably that kind of thing, But then he also has binoculars out too. So we now have an air observer packing a submachine gun. Yeah, HS, you're not wrong. I don't know. I just tear through technical documents. So yeah, it's like technical reading versus and technical writing versus creative writing and creative reading. You're right. I think they're different schoolhouses, but they're on the same campus. If that tracks, you know. All right, so there's one model built. Now let's jump back to working on our bridges. So we were painting the brown on these bridges. I just didn't want to work on terrain all stream. You know, I want to kind of make sure do a little bit of building, a little bit of painting, a little bit of building, a little bit of painting. Some interesting models, then some kind of not as interesting terrain. But I do need to get this terrain ready because I do have a demo game next week, basically, and this is my allotted hobby time during the week. These 8 hours. Thanks, HS. I appreciate that. True. Yeah, I can give multiple experiences where, especially as a lower enlisted person, if you actually took the time to read regulations and manuals, a lot of people, including your superiors, don't, and it gives you an insane amount. There's definitely knowledge and power, or power is knowledge, knowledge is power. So if you read the full reg and you're able to quote it back and forth and you're right, usually, depending on what your job is, that gives you some serious advantage. Because you'll be like, hey, why do we do this? Or it could even be in a civilian job, like, hey, why do we do it this way? It's like, oh, because that's what the reg states. Like, have you ever actually read the reg? Because it does not say that. You know, like, that's not at all what it says. And oftentimes, people will do like a tribal storytelling version of training, you know, where, oh, well, that's just what some guy told me who used to work here, and then he told somebody, then they told somebody. And it gets passed down amongst the work generations, and it becomes basically like a tribal campfire story tale, except it's what people train to. But like I said, I'm a trainer. That's one of my specialties. I'm a trainer and instructor, so I could talk about that forever. I'll try not to bore you guys with that, but I see that often. Super glad you're in the stream and in the chat, HS. Take a look at the poll, man. Let me know what you think. Let me see how the poll's doing, by the way. Let us see what you guys think. You know, how do we do for dice rolls? Let's see what we got going on in the poll. All right, we got majority is live by the tray, die by the tray. My people. Some people are rolling the table, reroll of crooked. And some people are I think one other person's at least other. So that's kind of interesting. I love to hear other people's approach to it. I said I'm a big live by the trade, die by the trade kind of guy, but I want to say I think I can understand where some people aren't, but not really. If somebody is different than that, you know, I'm super open to that conversation. I'd love to hear your opinions on why. I don't think either way is correct. I think it's both sides. If both players agree, then there's no wrong way to do it. As long as you guys have fun, you both agree. But I would love to hear a different opinion. Oh yeah, that's right, HS. Yeah, I forget your awesome group up in Alaska. You guys can use that GM for all sorts of stuff. That's a great asset you guys have, man. I'm glad y'all have that. Kind of envious, truly. Just a little bit of painting. I know it's off camera, but it's nothing interesting. It's just putting a second coat on this bridge before we dry brush it and then hit it with a wash. So like I said, yeah, nothing too interesting. Just a bridge. I know it's kind of a weird camera angle. I said a lot of times I put stuff in too close. It's the best way to kind of set it up on my desk. So I hope it doesn't bother too many of you guys. I try to get a decent camera, make sure it focuses and stuff like that, so no one gets any sick from the motion sickness. But it's a very limited field of view because I don't want to show myself or anything like that. It's just a little corner of my hobby desk. Fair enough. I see where you say like rolling in the tray could possibly high dice because it's a smaller area. So there, where does that? They used to talk about it back in 7th edition. It was like the 10% rule, where like if you have 8 dice, you know, but you sneak in an extra die, you know, maybe the opponent won't notice. You know, I don't know. I'm not about that life. But I understand with a tray with it all grouped up like that, it's kind of hard to tell. Because once there's too many dice, it's really hard to tell how many dice there are. I get that. Yes, Evolution. He is trying to peek at the nuns. One might say that is a bad habit. I will never get tired of that joke. You know what? That's what I'm going to call the module. So the scenario is called Top Secret, but I think I'm going to rename it to Bad Habit. Because because it involves 3 nuns and one of them's a spy. Yep, that's officially the name of the game mode. Not sure if I've already named it that. I thought I did, possibly in a past stream. Hey, what's going on, man? Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. So I saw that post, buddy, and I was actually joking. I was not right next to him. I think that guy's from like Sweden, but I just happened to be cruising through Reddit and I saw that picture. So for you guys who don't know what's going on, I definitely troll and peruse the Bolt Action Comic 47 Reddit a lot. And some guy was reading a version 3 Bolt Action rulebook on vacation on a beach. And somebody was like, "Hey, is that Tiki?" And I was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "Somebody is out Tikiing me." You know, I've definitely, and I put it out to Mrs. Tiki. She's like, "Someone's upstaging you. We have to go to the beach." I was like, "Yes." But I couldn't help. That was so cool to see. I appreciate you making that comment, man. That was the coolest thing to read. Because I feel like my name, even though I don't have a lot of, I have awesome subscribers and I have awesome people who watch my stream. But it's definitely a quantity over quality, and I'm totally okay with that. But I don't think I'm like known, so someone makes a joke like that and people get it. I'm like, oh holy shit! It's like I've been mentioned. It's like witness me, I ride eternal on the road to Valhalla. So when you made that joke, man, that made my day. To be referenced by name in a Reddit post, that is super cool. That probably made my week. It definitely made my day, but it's probably going to make my week. So I appreciate that joke. But yeah, that was me. I'm like, I'm right next to him. Yeah, that was just me being sarcastic. I'm sorry. But Mrs. Tiki and I are planning to go to the beach. We're actually going hunting for shark teeth. Something we often do. But I'm definitely going to bring my book and take a picture now. I will not be upstaged by a random European. I refuse. I will reclaim my Tiki title and I will take a picture reading a book by the beach. But it'll have a tropical Tiki drink and a cigar. I will not be out Tiki, damn it. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I said I appreciate you dropping by. Yeah, sorry the time zones don't really work out. Because of the weird hours I work, this is the best time for me to stream, and I think it really actually lines up well with some people in Europe. So I appreciate you just swinging by and chatting. But yeah, dude, when you made that joke in Reddit, that definitely made my day, man. That was hilarious. I even showed it to Mrs. Tiki, like, I've been mentioned. I just happened to catch that too. Like, it wasn't even an at mention. I just had to be perusing. I saw that. I was like, hey, someone knows me. I'm known. I'm real. All right, I generally always drop it like midway through the stream. Seems like a good spot as any. I always like to just drop a link to my merch store. It's generally put it in all my videos. I just haven't put a video out in a while because there's been a lot of construction in my house. It's hard to get like the time during the day to record. That's why, again, it's useful to do these streams at night when no one's around. But plenty of people have already bought stuff, which I super appreciate. Don't ever feel like you have to, but those of you who've already bought merch, I super appreciate it. And you can see already raised $13 that goes towards like a prize fund for the next event that we do. So that is super cool, and that's all because of y'all. I just thought I'd go ahead and drop that since we were talking about like being mentioned. You know, and that's the whole point of the merch. It's not to make money. There's no profit. All of it goes directly towards, you know, funding events, and you'll see, you know, that updates every time we get stuff. I'm super transparent about that. But I just think it's cool and hilarious to have someone wear something, you know, Tiki-ish, you know, to like whatever event. Could be all the way across the world. Could be like someone in Malaysia, you know, or like someone in like Norway or who knows where, wear like a Tiki shirt at a bolt action event or a conflict force event would be absolutely hysterical. So that's why I kind of did the whole merch thing. So, you know, feel free. A lot of you guys have already looked. A lot of you guys have already bought and stuff, which I appreciate. Don't ever feel like you have to keep, you know, getting stuff, or don't ever feel like you have to. If you do, that's awesome. If not, that's okay too. But just keep your eyes on it. Every now and then I'll update and put some new stuff in there. I'm working on a couple new designs right now in my head. Yep, HS caught me like, oh, time for a merch mention. Yep, that's exactly what it is. He read my mind. I like the whole, the joke of just being noticed. Ooh, Rhodesians. Oh, that is so cool. I said from what I see, because I can't see a lot on my side. From what I see, they're in production right now. It says like a lot of them should get there by the end of the month, but you know, I have my doubts. I think it'll take a while to ship. So hopefully when you get yours, you get yours. It seems like, because I ordered it, I ordered one for a friend of mine, a streamer. I ordered one for him and sent it to him as a gift, like the day I made them. And that thing still hasn't shipped yet. So if that hasn't shipped yet, I don't think anything's shipped yet. So I think it's just going to take a little while, unfortunately. That's something I can't control. I'm sorry about that. I can't control the production. The one thing I could control is price, and I kept the price as absolutely low as they would allow me to. So nice. There we go. I was actually worried. I gets like kicked out of the site, and it said I was blocked for a second. I was like, oh no, and I went back and read their terms of service. It's like, you cannot do anything that promotes violence or hate. I'm like, ooh. I was like, a lot of those shirts have like some pretty, what I think are funny jokes, but they're very like World War II themed jokes. You know, they reference things like lunch mines and Panzer chocolate. You know, I'm like, ooh, that might have violated some terms of service. I was like, we'll see. But then I contact them, and they're super chill. They're like, oh, no, we did it by accident. No, you're perfectly fine. I was like, okay, whew, thank God. I thought I already got booted off the site and had only been on there for like 2 weeks. I was like, oh, shit. So it's funny you mentioned that, Matthew. That's something I'm going to be doing on the cruise. So, like, to me, I think the best award is the most sportsman. I'm going to call it most Tiki. Yes, it's a little conceited, but, you know, that's fine. I think I have a little level of narcissism, hopefully. But it'll be the most Tiki award. And the cool thing is it's actually going to be a legitimate Tiki mask. Like, not a, I mean, I guess it could be wearable, but it'll actually be like a carved Tiki, and the whole point is everyone who shows up to the tournament is gonna sign it. So, you know, everybody else gets like models and like maybe like a piece of paper saying like, hey, you got first place, second place, best painted, what have you. But the person who wins most Tiki, you know, best sportsman and stuff like that, they're actually gonna get the signed Tiki from everyone who was at the event. You know, so that's really cool. Like, those don't go to me; that goes to whoever is like voted the most sportsman. That's one thing I'm super excited about. I'm still in talks with the cruise line. They're just waiting until after this last tropical storm kind of clears out of the way before they start talking about the future. Only because that ship, the ship usually runs from Palm Beach to the Grand Bahamas, but they're actually opening up a possible berth in Nassau, which is pretty cool. All right, so we put a second coat on our bridges. They're actually looking pretty good. So I think we need to do some dry brushing on the bridges, maybe. And then we will hit them with a wash. So that being said, for washes, the two ones I'm thinking, I have my Nolan Oil, the Ever Classic. And if you guys give me a second here, I feel like I have Earthshade. I definitely have Seraphim Sepia, but I don't know. Seraphim Sepia may be better to use on the dirt on top of the bridge. I'm not sure. I would love some input from the skilled community, as it were. I have all sorts of random paints that I never used. Every now and then I'll let the Mrs. Tiki pick up a paint that she thinks looks cool that she'll use, and then she doesn't, and it just sits in my pile of paints. So I have a whole bunch of I have a whole bunch of paints that I've never used. A lot of purples and reds. Okay, here we go. Alright, chat, so this is what we're looking at, right? These are the 3 washes that I think will look good on these bridges. Alright. Ooh, oh, hold on. There we go. Let me put it in. Okay, cool. So we have Nolan Oil, Seraphim Sepia, and Agrat's Earthshade. So, I'm thinking Nolan Oil maybe, because I want to do something to wash the road part, and then something to wash these sides and tops of these stones. Same with this castle, but I would love, absolutely love y'all's input before I get started. Okay, I can't say I never used. You know what? I used, Gene Stealer purple. Yep, I used Gene Stealer purple for the eyes of my mummies, and it looks pretty tits. I'm not gonna lie, it looks awesome. HS, that's good advice, but I'm gonna be fully honest with you, HS. That's probably the best policy, but I'm way too lazy for that. So thank you for that advice. I will respectfully not follow it. I will likely regret it, but I will respectfully not do it because I am entirely too lazy. But I respect you enough, HS, to be honest with you. Oh, okay. That is something I get for pulling the audience. You guys, I know you're probably right, but you're also really skilled. So... hopefully it didn't bother you, HS. Hopefully that came across as well and as kind as I meant it. I'm just, for all intents, I'm an honest guy. Sometimes I guess too honest. I don't know. I always think honesty is the best policy. I hope that's okay, man. I don't want you to be like, hey, I told you to do this and you didn't, and it looks like shit. I'm like, yeah, it's true. I 100% do not follow your advice. Hopefully it came across in the polite way that I meant it, buddy. I know it's good advice. Alright, so we are going to put the 3 shades here, here, and here, and figure out what we want. That's not a bad idea, friends. Well, I may do that. So yeah, what I'm thinking is, I may save the Nolan oil. I may save the actual Nolan oil to put like an actual oil track down the middle of the bridge to show it's used by vehicles, you know? I got you, HS. I got you. See, so I'm thinking possibly Seraphim Sophia on the roads. Maybe a little Agrax Earthshade on the side of the stones. And then the Nolan oil down the middle. You don't have to make me drink, man. I'll voluntarily drink. But I got you. And this is just me freaking out about terrain. You know, I try to make my models look... I care more about my terrain looking good than my models, because I feel like models are small enough that it matter, but terrain I feel like really makes the board. Yeah. That's a good point, HS. Yeah, like when I have 60 Imperial Japanese Riflemen on the table, you know, they kind of get lost in the sauce. But if you have like 2 bridges and you're fighting over the bridges as key terrain, people are really going to be looking at the bridges, you know? Just giving these tables another coat because I can start to see some gray shining through. Yeah, so these are originally dark gray from the resin. I spray primered them a couple coats so that I could wash them. Because I want it kind of like sun bleached stone, kind of. If that makes sense. So that's the fun thing. I've been working on music. I know you guys hear the same Hawaiian music in the background, but I've been working on some using the same site that I used to make my my fun songs, like the outro song and stuff like that. I've made to this point now probably a couple hours worth of background music, and it's very like surf rock style, you know, Tiki themed, but it also has like a very small kind of like lo-fi Japanese funk track to it. It's very hard to describe, but it's kind of cool. The fun part about making the songs is coming up with the titles. Like, I come up with some of the most, like, random, somewhat topic-appropriate songs. Like, some of them are pretty funny. Like, I want to say one of my favorite tracks I was listening to, and it actually has, like, a pretty cool, can't think of the name of the instrument. It's the, it's like the 3-string, it's kind of like a guitar, but it's a 3-string instrument. I think, traditionally, only females, female geishas, played. Like, something in, I can't pronounce what it is. But it's a very unique sounding Japanese stringed instrument. And so when I mixed that into one of the songs, I happened to be watching Grandma's Boy at the time, and I'm like, I know just what to call this. And so the track of that song, or that song's name, is literally like, yeah, monkey karate chop the elephant. So when I post, because I'll use it for background track for this stream, that way I'm not using anybody else's music. But I'll also post it on my YouTube page as well, just like music. If anyone ever wants to steal anything that I make, by all means, go ahead. I'll never DCMA strike anybody. You know, you do you, boo. But some of the song titles were hilarious. That was one that cracked me up. I want to say one is like toss coconuts, not grenades. It's just or one's like cold sangrias and hot metal SMGs. I think one's like pineapple grenade peekaboo. Like, just hilarious little song titles that just make me laugh. But that's the one, because I was literally, when I was listening to it, I was watching Grandma's Boy. It's like, yeah, monkey, karate chop the elephant. If you've never seen that movie, it's in my top 10, hands down. If I do a lyric song, I can either do all the lyrics myself, or I can have them generate some of the lyrics and then go in and fine tune those lyrics to where they make sense, and also fix. I feel like when you do your own lyrics, it helps the pronunciation, which helps a lot depending if you're used to multiple language. I'd say it's probably about like 40-50%. You can either do it 100%, Francois, or you can do like 50%. You kind of give them, you kind of lay out a story and lay out a prompt, and it uses words from the stuff you laid out to kind of write the lyrics, if that makes sense. Yeah, HS gets it. Drive, monkey, drive! I'm way too baked to drive to the devil's house. I have quoted that movie way too much in my life. And also not enough. Nice. Yeah, if you've never seen Grandma's Boy, I'm telling you, you are missing out. Hands down. Hands down, probably one of my favorite comedy movies. I feel like now, with all the stuff going on in video games, not getting modern day with it, or not getting political about it, but with all the controversies going on in gaming, no matter which way you feel, I think it'd be a great time for a good Grandma's Boy sequel. I bet all like the corporate stuff going on, I think it'd be great. I think I'm going more for damp and slick. It's definitely, I mean, I want my terrain, because I say I fund everything myself. I try and be as self-funded as I can. So I wanted to basically serve as many battlefields as I possibly can between like desert and jungle and stuff like that. But if anything, it's going to lean more towards jungle, Pacific, so I guess more damp. Which is why I kind of wanted to wash this part on top and make it look a little bit more wet. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that looks good. That's the Earthshade. Great call, whoever said Earthshade on the top part. Who said that? Ah, of course it was Sean. Good call, Sean. Nailed it, buddy. Yep. So far, this Earthshade's looking great, even on the stones. Because it kind of makes it look a lot more like dirtier, and I think that's what I want to go for. Then I think I'll do a kind of a heavy Nolan oil down the middle of the path on top of the bridge, just to show where vehicles have driven over it. Yeah, Francois, I think yours is a lot like HS. I think it was a great idea. And I think it would look way better than what I'm doing. It's just, again, to be honest, my own limitation of ability, I think that's beyond my skill set. It's a cool idea, and it probably would look way better than what I'm doing. I just think, once I start getting like alchemic formulas for paints, that's a little beyond me. I appreciate the advice, truly. I don't want you to think I ignored you at all. I saw it and I thought it was a good idea. I'm sorry I didn't acknowledge it out loud. But I think it's just beyond my rather limited skill set. Alright, that's a good point. So we will paint this one bridge, and then we will get back to building another model, so it's at least a little bit more exciting, and then we'll come back and finish the other bridge. Happy little accidents. Ironically enough, Veterans Day just recently passed, and if you guys didn't know that, Bob Ross was a Air Force senior NCO. He actually learned how to paint on a base family morale and family readiness center, whatever the hell those things are called. I don't know. I never used them, but they're like these cool little things where you can go and like hang out and learn stuff, and I don't know. But yeah, he was a senior NCO. I want to say he was a master sergeant at one point, a senior non-commissioned officer. He learned how to paint in the Air Force to relax, and then it became his gig. There's your random military trivia of the day. Let's see the third nun. I've been staring at a leg for a while now. Well, it's rude to stare, HS. Yeah, so as you can tell, these aren't the traditional edited habits. These are kind of like more, it's got like an M cut, you know, where you can see the stockings in the leg. Kind of a far detail, but you can tell the one sitting on the tombstone actually has an apple. I left a review on Etsy. The guy who 3D printed these, I thought he did a great job. So I left him a good review, and I sent my picture in of me painting him. So if you're on Etsy and you're looking up for some 28mm nuns, you might actually see my comment on there. Yeah. If by Halloween nun you mean like college student dressing as a nun for a Halloween party, yes. Yes, very much that, Evolution Games. Very much that. I am so glad I did a Halloween stream. I can't tell you guys enough how much Halloween is my favorite day of the year. It's my favorite holiday. So I'm super glad I got to spend it with y'all. You know, doing a little bit of a stream too. That was pretty cool. I mean, I still got to spend it, of course, with Mrs. Tiki and do all the fun Halloween stuff. But it was cool that I got to, you know, incorporate it into the stream a little bit. That was pretty neat. Well, I'm lazy with my terrain too, HS. A lot of my stuff is, especially for my jungle boards, a lot of it is just aquarium decor. But at the same point in time, I do still have a lot of like TT combat style stuff that I need to build and paint. But every now and then I'll get these nice like 3D, I say nice, I'll get these 3D printed objects and just try and get them painted up a little bit. So yeah, you're still going to see where these things are printed. You know, you still see the print lines, but it is still painted, and I think once you put it on the tabletop, it will kind of work with everything. Like I said, I don't have like super nice of a lot of stuff. Like I'll say my my rivers are just like cardboard cutouts kind of that I use from like my D&D games and shit like that. Like a lot of my stuff pulls double duty. That's how I justify having all these hobbies. Like I said, I know me working on this bridge a little bit off stream isn't the most exciting thing in the world, but so once we get this bridge finished, we'll build a second person to 3-person air observer team. So the way I plan on running my air observer teams when I can afford to, for my Imperial Japanese Army, is 3 veterans with SMGs. So I said they can call in their actual air support, and if they're no longer spotted, if there's no heavy mortar for them to spot for, then what they do is they just go down there and they start fighting. Because it's still 3 fanatic veterans with SMGs. They're still infantry, so they can hold an objective, and more importantly, if you try and push them off an objective... Actually, I don't know if observers can hold an objective. They may or may not be able to. I'll double check that. But anyways, it's still three bad hombres with some submachine guns. So you can try and shoot them, but they might be hard to kill because they're fanatic. But if you want to tussle with them in close combat, I mean, that's 3 veterans with SMGs with fanatic. So you better kill 2 of them, otherwise, you better hope. You better hope. Well, yeah, remember, 2 of them are nuns, one of them is just a spy. You know, you never know which one you have. I said you can hedge your bets either way. You can try and take 2, you know, and double your chances, or you can just take 1 and shoot the other 2 and hope you guess right. Or you can just ignore the nuns, just kill your opponent, then grab all 3. Different ways to skin that cat. Yeah, HS, if you want, you can just mail that stuff to him. I am going out to see him, possibly this year. Maybe next year I'll probably take that trip out to Texas and go see him. I mean, I'll be taking a trip out to Texas, and while I'm there, I'll probably go see him as well. You know, I'm not driving like 18 to 20 hours. He's a cool guy, but that's a long ass drive. But I do have a trip planned out there I plan stuff like a year or 2 in advance, so if he's cool with that. I'm still setting up a mail forwarding center. You know, so that way I'm not using my home address for people to send me stuff. That way no one comes and tries to murk me in the middle of the night. And then I gotta put a 12 gauge hole through my own wall and then pay to fix the wall, and it's a whole debacle. So once I get the mail forwarding thing set up, you know, where you guys can send packages, then I'll go ahead and post that as well. Yeah, I'm painting this real loose. I'm trying to afford to really get in the cracks. And just look like an old, damp bridge with like dirty river water. Oh man, dude, I'm not gonna lie, if they do Pacific style island trench crusade, I'm not gonna lie. If they do that, I will jump in and I will buy it. I've been observing trench crusade kind of from the sidelines, you know. I know there's like a little bit of possible drama going on. I don't know. I don't care about that stuff. But the models look kind of cool. But yeah, if they tease some Imperial Japanese stuff, because those guys don't know, if it's based off World War One, the Imperial Japanese were actually on the Allied side in World War One. If you ever question yourself why Germany didn't really have any islands in World War Two in the Pacific, it's because Imperial Japan took them in World War One, along with a bunch of other shit from the Russians as well. So. I appreciate it, Sean. But no, it's alright. I'll make that drive out there. I'm not gonna lie, cause I definitely, when it's this time, usually I just drive all the way there and back. But I think on the way back, I think I'll probably stop in New Orleans. I haven't been in New Orleans in years. I kind of miss the city, so I'll probably swing by New Orleans. It'll be a nice, slow, casual trip. But yeah, when I'm in Texas, I'll definitely let you guys know, and I'll take the time to schedule in case you guys want to do like meetups and like some tabletop wargaming. I'll do my best to schedule in advance with you guys. Alright, now for the side-by-side comparison. So, no wash, wash. No wash. Wash. Not bad. Not super crazy detail, but, you know, still there. There is a game out there. I think it's a weird. Again, I don't know how people feel about it. I can't just like games can't just be games. I feel like there's always strings attached. Anyways, the premise of the game sounded kind of cool. It was called Rattenreich, and what it was is a fictional World War I, World War II. It kind of has a small aesthetic similar to Trench Crusade, but a little different. But all the different powers are different animals. So I don't know if it's like a weird furry thing or not. I don't know. I don't care. I thought it was funny that the French were cockroaches. I personally thought that was kind of funny. The Germans are rats. I want to say the Americans and British are mixed and they're mice. The cool thing is the Japanese are like lizards / Komodo dragons. I thought that was really cool. They look really cool. So they're wearing like the Taiga hats and all sorts of stuff like that, but they're Komodo dragons. They look stupidly cool. Yeah, no, thank you guys for the idea on the wash. So I think I'm doing the same thing on the buildings. You know, I'm going to obviously paint the dirt parts brown, but I wanted a wash where I can kind of make the stuff look like it's kind of been in the jungle for a little while. All right, so while we're letting that bridge kind of dry for a little bit, let's work on our second air observer. Yeah, this guy's kind of outnumbered by the nuns, so you usually gotta pay extra for that kind of stuff in Singapore. Let's see if we can't get him a buddy. He's outnumbered. Yeah, when I saw the Rattenreich, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Then when I saw they had Imperial Japanese and they were Komodo dragons, I was like, and add to cart. I was like, that was fast. Take my bottle caps, why don't you? Oh, goodness. So yeah, if any of you guys know the people behind Trench Crusade, yeah, let them know if they want, you know, obviously not that much. I'm not a whale, you know, but you know, if they want my money and or my free press with me making videos, then have them put in some World War I Japanese. So I would agree with you. I could see where you would say that, HS, if he was wearing a German style helmet, 100%. I gave him the MP40 just because I wanted him to look different from his two buddies who'll be packing Type 100s. But in my head canon, he was a what do you call that? There's a term for it. Give me a second here. Sorry, my tired brain. He was a I don't know. I can't think of the term off my head, but it's kind of like a foreign trade. So the Imperial Japanese sent him with the Condor Legion, you know, as foreign advisor. There we go. So he was a foreign advisor. He went, you know, as a guest of the Condor Legion, which are 100% not Germans, quote unquote, during the Spanish Civil War. So he got to observe that kind of stuff. And so then, you know, he came back to mainland Japan to kind of incorporate some of those, you know, Stuka style close air support missions, you know, with the Val dive bombers that the Imperial Japanese had. So, you know, one of the things is in his service, you know, he brought back this awesome, you know, MP38 or MP40. So that's why he has one in my little headcanon. But yeah, also you could also just go Lend-Lease as well. But yeah, as an air observer, I just kind of said like he was a you know, foreign advisor, and he brought that back with him from Spain. Yeah, he was TDY, exactly. That's why I was trying to think of the. I don't want to say TDY, but yeah, you know, like I said, I was lucky enough to get attached. I got attached to Carbonieri. That was super cool. I got attached to them for a little while. Got to do a lot of cool opportunities with those guys. So if you do enlist and you get the chance to do stuff like that, it's 100% worth it. To this day, still the coolest cop car I ever drove. Everyone was like, did they really have like police Ferraris? Like, yes, they do, and Lamborghinis. I was like, but more importantly, they at the time they had WRXs. These were like the hatchback 2012s with souped up engines and chips. Yeah, probably the coolest police car I've ever driven in my life, hands down. Was a souped up WRX. Alright, so we got his legs, we got his arms. For this one, we will, religious factions, not countries. That's even better. All the more reason to have like a Shinto slash, if you don't want to offend people, of course, Bushido style, you know, Way of the Sun style religion. Oh yeah. Oh man, I hope they do put that in there. I will throw my bottle caps at them so hard. So a really cool inspiration for models. Some of you may be old enough to remember Advanced Wars, you know, on the Game Boy Advance and stuff like that. You had like Orange Comet, Yellow Sun, Blue Moon. You know, one was like Russia themed, one was Imperial Japanese themed, one was like American themed. You know, and then you had like the Axe Nation and stuff like that. So those were cool, but then there's something else. A lot of people don't remember, and you have to look at it on YouTube. Look up Battalion Wars. Battalion Wars. It came out for the Wii. There was the first one, and then there was a second one. The cutscenes are hilarious, but they also are very, very stylistic depictions of militaries. Like, there's these Transylvanian soldiers who are like, they kind of look like Chaos Imperial Guard, you know? They're really cool. There's the stereotypical Anglo Islands, which were the British. You know, there's the Empire of the Sun, which were clearly the Imperial Japanese. So, some really cool inspiration and design ideas if you're ever looking for inspiration. Particularly for like Conflict 47. Hey, Perch, I'm so sorry, man. I'm just double checking the chat. I just saw you pop in. What's going on, 21? Welcome to the chat, buddy. Hope you like it. Glad it's a good start to your day. I stream weird hours. It's super late for me, but maybe it's super early for you, or maybe it's in the afternoon. Who knows? Who knows where you are in this wide world? Hopefully far away from Carmen Sandiego. That chick kept stealing shit. But glad you popped in the chat, brother. Feel free. We do have a poll going. If you are a tabletop wargamer, I would absolutely love and value your opinion in the poll. How do you do your dice rolls? Are you a, you know, live by the trade, die by the trade kind of person? Or are you a, as long as it's not crooked, you know, roll where it lies, it lies. Alright, so here we go. We put our piece over here. We got our body. We got our legs. We're basically playing Dr. Frankenstein over here. We got legs. We got a body. Like I said, these guys will be using the Type 100 SMGs. So these come in your standard Imperial Japanese Army sprue kit. It's 2 arms. One has the actual SMG. The other is slapping the magazine into it. We'll make sure to give him his canteen. You can't send someone out to the jungle without a canteen. We'll give him an S&G ammo pouch, and then more importantly, to set him up, we're gonna put his binoculars kind of propped up on a bread bag. Alright, sorry, I didn't mute the mic. I was drinking some water. Water and energy drink. 2 separate things. I do enjoy my sugar-free energy drinks, especially when they're split with rum. But I also still hydrate. This hydration is real. Yeah, I may have to visit that site and try and maybe drop an idea to see if they'll ever do Eastern religion style units for Trench Crusade. That would be super cool. Alright, now I'm just going to neaten up these pieces and then we'll start getting them glued together. So what we're working on is we have our 3 nuns who are our spies for the demo game that we're playing. 500-point demo game. But right now we're building an Imperial Japanese Army Air Observer team. Or Forward Observer themed on as an air observer. So I like to build mine as 3-person veteran teams with SMGs. Because they're already hard to shoot. You know, they're veterans and they also have infiltrator rule for 3rd edition. But if you want to try engagement close combat, you better bring the ruckus. Because they are veterans, fanatics, and they all have SMGs. So there's 3 of them. The reason why I do that is if they call and the airstrike and it's successful and I don't have any heavy mortars and I'm not really spotting for anything, they can just kind of start running around and using those SMGs and kind of bullying people around. Actually, no, not as a chaser. I drink the water first. You know, always make sure, you know, every half hour, every hour, you know, always make sure I get a couple good swigs of water in. I've always been damn near religious about the amount of water I drink. You have to remember, especially streaming. I'll watch streams where it's like a live stream and you can see the person the whole time and they don't drink anything on stream, and that blows my mind. I don't know if I'm like a fish or what, but like, especially if I'm talking a lot like this, you know, for several hours. Oh, I drink a lot. I drink a lot on streams. Like, I'll probably go through. I literally have a Nalgene and another water bottle because I don't really have time to get up and fill another bottle. So I have like a Nalgene and a whole other water bottle here, and I generally drink them both. Yes. Clear and copious. We all remember the P charts. But I do live down here where it's very hot, and I've seen people dehydrate, which is kind of weird. It's weird seeing an adult outside of an emergency situation dehydrate. Like, obviously, I'm very, I wouldn't say very overweight, but I'm overweight for my size, so I'm not a nutritionist whatsoever. But at the same point in time, I know to drink water. But when I see, like, adults in hospitals from, like, dehydrating, you know? Not from drug use, just from, like, not drinking water, I'm like, this is insane. Like, you have to have water. All right, take it easy, Sean. I wish you all the best out in the woods. Thanks for joining the stream, man. I appreciate the advice and appreciate the chats, man. Take it easy. See, it's funny, I can actually understand people dehydrating in the winter where it's cold. Because I can understand people forgetting to drink water when it's cold. That I can understand, but when it's like hot as balls down here and you're sweating and it's like 80 to 90% humidity, like how do you not drink water? It's just like the one dehydration I see a lot. One of the classes I teach has to do with being on the water, especially swimming a lot too. So that's one thing I always tell people. It's like if you're swimming a lot and you're out in the sun, you have to drink water. It's a very fast way to dehydrate is by swimming. It sounds dumb, but you're heating up so much and you're burning off so much, you don't feel yourself sweat, so you will dehydrate very quickly if you're swimming. Nice. Yeah, I just did that the other day, Sean. I got a range day coming up. I used to go a lot more. Now that I'm out, I generally go like once a month. So I think this trip I stocked up on some 10 mil, and I have a little 10 mil pistol that I really enjoy because I'm a Fallout nerd. So it's fun having a 10 millimeter pistol. So I think it's just a 10 mil and probably working on my lever action 357. Try and shoot it more and more to just get that action butter smooth. No matter how much I polish it, there's nothing just like putting, a box of 50 rounds through it every now and then. You gotta break these firearms in. I love my lever action 357. That is such a handy little carbine to have. I've taken 2 coyotes with it up in Kentucky. At least I think it was Kentucky. It might have been Indiana. I don't know, somewhere between the two. There's a bad coyote problem with picking off. First, they were picking off people's chickens, then they're picking off people's dogs and cats. So, more so the dogs. Yep. That's so funny you say that. Yeah, in the back of my vehicle, I have like those, it's like flat 24 packs of just water bottles, like 500 milliliters. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's hot, I always have water in the back of my car, not just in case, for the radiator or for anything else, but also for humans. Yeah, I've been back in the States for like 10 years now, and I still use the metric system for some things. I use the metric system for shooting and for liquids, actually. That's really about it. Driving, I still use miles, but like range determination for shooting, I'll use meters. And for liquids, I use milliliters and liters. Just a lot easier. Alright, we neaten up all our pieces. Here are all our pieces right here. So let's get building. Let's Frankenstein this bad boy. Oh no, he needs a head. So for the heads, for my officers and NCOs, I've been using these samurai helmets, but for these guys who are more just like kind of specialist, for special weapons teams or special units, especially ones that have the infiltrator special rule, I like to use these Imperial Japanese helmets that have like the netting on top. And what I do with that is I just put a tuft of grass on the top, and that allows you to easily recognize and spot them on the tabletop that they're not just like a box standard rifleman. Like there's something special. So I do with like my lunge mines, my mortar team, shit like that. Machine gunners, loaders, things like that. And now I'll do it with my forward air observer and his team. Because it kind of works so they have the infiltrator special rule. You know, they would take the time to camouflage our helmets and stuff like that, and that's why they're all laying down. They're also laying down because I don't like using the prone stuff for my regular 15-man rifle teams. So I usually use prone for special weapons, like mortar teams. So I have a lot more prone bases, and I want to try and use them. Once we get this guy built, then we'll start using the wash on our second bridge. Hopefully it'll turn out just as well as the first. Thank y'all for the advice. I appreciate it. Yeah, gluing these little legs on the little things are an absolute serious pain in the ass. Which is kind of ironically funny because it's, you know, so close to the ass and their legs. But a little annoying with these models, but not ruining the night or anything like that. Not that severe. Just a heads up if you're working on them, they can be kind of weird. Sometimes they'll come out kind of like crooked and weird. But it's one of those things, if you want to do it correctly, like when you're laying prone, everybody teaches you lay with your feet flat. It's one of the easy ways to spot someone doing it incorrectly. When you're laying prone, you're laying with like your toes kind of down and your heels sticking up. You know, first of all, it's what people don't know is bullets don't just fly straight. They'll skip along the ground. It'll skip along the walls too. So if your heel is kind of sticking up like that, for whatever reason, there's a chance you're probably gonna get a round put right through your Achilles tendon and now you can't walk. And also it messes with your firing form. So when you shoot prone or you do anything prone, you lay down, like you lay your feet flat. So I think like these models are meant, and I've seen people model and they'll model with like their toes pointed down. I'm like, ah. Oh, there was actually something I was really excited about. If I can find it again. I think it was in my book. So something I do, I always tell the story about how I was a machine gunner for a little bit of my career. And it's always important that when you're a machine gunner, you dual armed and you took a pistol with you. It's always good to have a pistol as a machine gunner. So when I build my models, I try and kit them out in the same way. I thought I had it saved in here in my book I was reading. And what it is the Special Naval Landing Force I'll have to find it again where it is in here, but they're light machine gunners. When they equip them with their machine guns, they also equip them with pistols, which was really cool. Yeah, I have to find where it is printed in this book. But it was like a super cool like vindication. Like, yeah, I'm not crazy. You know, where like even the Special Naval Landing Force equip their guys with their machine guns. So one of the one of the cool things about the Special Naval Landing Force over the Imperial Japanese Army is these guys were super active very early on. Like they really made a name for themselves during the Boxer Rebellion, which is before World War One. And these guys were super active. And what they were is they're Special Naval Landing Force. They traveled all over the world, so they operated a lot of other countries' militaries. So they soaked up a lot of other countries' tactics and tools, whereas the Imperial Japanese Army is much more insulated. You know, they use traditionally Imperial Japanese-made equipment and their own doctrine, whereas the Imperial Japanese Navy Special Naval Landing Force, they begged, borrowed, and stole anywhere they could get. So often in their pictures, you'll see they for whatever reason, they adored. Even later on in the war, like in the 40s, they still loved the Lewis guns and the old Type 11 LMGs versus the newer Type 96s and some of the other stuff out there. You know, they stuck to a lot of their more traditional weapon systems, which is very, very interesting. They couldn't get a lot of tanks because tanks belonged to the army. The cavalry was allowed to have tankettes. The Navy was allowed to have armored cars, so there was a lot of armored cars. And the Imperial Navy got around that because the Army couldn't have swimming tanks. That was unique to the Imperial Japanese Navy. So a lot of your amphibious tanks, those were made for the Imperial Japanese Navy. So it's very interesting, the reliance due to political and doctrine reasons of the Imperial Japanese Navy. They have a lot of interesting tools and equipment and tactics derived from being all over the world, working in embassies and different ports, working side by side with their country's militaries, and then coming back here. So I said, you'll see in a lot of pictures that sometimes they actually have, you know, either captured or bought foreign weaponry and they're using it side by side with their stuff, which is actually pretty cool. Especially the Lewis gun. I said, mostly every picture you can see of them all like in a pose, they'll always have at least one Lewis gun, which makes sense if you're operating on boats and stuff like that. I mean, it's a great weapon system, but it just always amuses me how much they enjoyed or relied upon that thing. Yeah, so for this guy, he's gonna have his binoculars resting on a backpack, but you're right, I think for the third guy, to make him look different, I think I'll actually have him have like a E-tool or a shovel out, you know? Alright, we'll put his gear on him, we'll glue the head on, we'll put his SMG pouch on his drop leg, and then we'll position him in the back of the base. and we'll put his pack and his binoculars propped up in front of him. Man, I can't tell you how much I love these streams, guys. It's always fun chatting with you guys, especially the usual suspects, and also anyone new. It's pretty cool too, but I get so much done. You know, during the week, I always look over and I'm like, oh man, am I going to get this done in time? You know, like, I get stressed out, but then I'm like, oh yeah, I got my streams coming. And sure enough, boom, boom, boom. By the end of the stream, we'll have 2 bridges built and possibly an entire 4 observer team built. Gotta slay the ground. Everyone's like, what? They're called paint chaps. You haven't painted in a while. Yep, I'm saving up for Kriegsmist for Morning Glory's contest. Once December 1st drops, it is going to be a massive paint rush. We'll be painting all those tanks we built. Those of you guys who were in the stream, you remember we built a lot of tanks. That was another funny thing about modeling and building Imperial Japanese units. You have to look twice at their SMG ammo pouches. They are not very easy to figure out at first glance, you know, on which way it's up. It's hard to describe, like the way the pouch flap is and the way the strap is that buckles in. Super easy to put upside down. Alright, so we have him on his base. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put up his bread bag or his little main satchel in front of him. We're going to prop up the binoculars on him. All right, and there we go. So you can see there he is back there towards the back. He's got all his ammo, his canteen. He's got his extra SMG ammo pouches. He's got his submachine gun Type 100. And right in front of him, you can see his little pack down there with his binoculars. Now our forward air observer has a buddy. Still outnumbered by the nuns, but you know, I think 3 nuns versus 2 Imperial Japanese army with submachine guns. I think the fight is slowly evening out. All right, so we are going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We built our second model. Now let's go back to our bridge and let's get it shaded. So again, I'll put them side by side real quick just so you can see the difference between them. Glad the cap was on that. That could have been bad. I almost sent my Nolan oil flying. That would have been awkward. Alright, that is extremely subtle, but I feel like in the light, and when it dries, it'll actually be kind of cool. You can barely see this, but you'll see a faint, and it's wet right now, that's fine, but hopefully when it dries a little bit darker, so literally just looks like leaking oil. So you can tell, it's a subtle thing, but hopefully you can kind of tell that it's used by vehicles. You know, constantly, vehicles driving over the bridge, you know, it drops a little bit of oil on it. Very subtle, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, GW paint's supposed to wash out of anything, but I definitely spilled one of my contrast paints. I think like ultramarine blue of all things. It got all over one of my PJ pants, and I was like, ah, son of a bitch. Like, I've washed it a couple times, but it still hasn't fully come out. I'm like, ugh. But it's my own fault that happened. Can't be mad at the paint. Alright, so we're gonna touch this up a little bit more with brown paint because I see some gray coming through. And then we'll go ahead and shade it. We're just giving this another coat of my apple barrel paint, not the good GW brown paint. Alright, we got another coat on here just to cover up any gray from poking through. There we go, no more kind of gray poking through, nice. Let that dry a bit and then we'll start shading that bad boy. While that's drying, I can start working on the sides of the bridge. We are shading our bridge and our stonework with this earth shade. I'm thinking for these buildings, I think I'm going to do the bottom part in earth shade, but the top part in Nolan oil, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, we're putting this on. We're putting this shade in just real quick, fast, dirty, letting it really get in the crevices and kind of separate the stones. And just make it look old and dirty from like rain and river water. Because think about all the carts and cars and foot traffic that go over the bridge, and when it rains, which it does a lot, like in a jungle or tropical island, it kind of washes all that off on the side of the bridge down into the river. So that's kind of what we're going for. Not like sooty or nasty, but just like used riverstone, you know? Yeah, I'm really a fan of how this earth shade, or yeah, Agar's earth shade is really kind of just weathering the stone. These came in like dark gray from being 3D printed, so then I just spray painted this it's called Sea or Gray. Yeah, I used the Citadel spray primer Sea or Gray, and now I'm just aging it with this earth shade. Like I said, it's not much. You can tell from one side to the other. You know, it really isn't much. It's very subtle, but it's still there. That with this being painted, you know, it just makes the terrain look a little bit better and just less gray, I guess. Especially doing a demo game, I really kind of want to make sure it looks good. Alright, now let's paint the other side of the bridge. Like I said, we're still waiting for the actual brown in the middle of the bridge to dry, so we can also shade that as well. All right, now it's dry. Now we'll go ahead and shade the middle part. Once we finish that, we'll get to work on our tertiary Ford Observer team member, and should be getting close to the end of the stream, which means we will have knocked out painting 2 bridges and building a full 3-person Ford Observer team, which is pretty cool. So I actually have something exciting planned for next year. I'm not going to tell you. It's going to be a surprise. Hopefully we'll have our new music to go with the surprise, but we have something fun to build and to model tomorrow. I got to make sure I have all the supplies for it. I think I do. I may have to hit a store in between work and stream if anything's open. But I'm going to show you how to build some... We're building something that we're familiar with tomorrow, but we're going to do something new as well. So for you guys in tune right now, definitely tune in for the next stream tomorrow. Should be some pretty cool stuff. I always try to teach you, like, again, I rely on you guys for like painting advice, but I have some pretty cool little hobby / trash bashing advice and things that I've learned that I try and pass on to people. So definitely stay tuned for tomorrow. Should be some cool stuff. Maybe you've seen it before, maybe you haven't. Who knows? All right. There we go. There's our bridge shaded. We're waiting on the top part to dry. Let's hit the sides again. Really just kind of get that wet grime in between the stones. Like it, you know, like it just perpetually never dries because of the river. Alright, once that dries, we'll put our, go ahead and put our Nolan oil shade down the middle. It's kind of subtle, but you can see it. And then we'll get building our 3rd Ford Observer. Alright, just checking on the poll. Wow, 10 votes. That is awesome. You guys are great. I appreciate the participation. That's super cool. I'll try and post a poll in the beginning of the streams, and we'll kind of talk about it as we go on throughout the streams. It's like I'm learning how to be a live streamer, right? So we'll talk about it as we go. But 10 people already, man. That's super cool. It looks like live by the trade, die by the trade is kind of winning. Maybe that's how a lot of people are. I suddenly feel a lot better. I was worried I was a little bit too draconian. All right, so let me trim this part of this helmet that's bugging me, and then we'll get started on our third guy. Alright, I'm going to be looking around my bits trying to find some type of E-tool or shovel or something. Alright, I think I do have something. Okay, cool. Luckily, and I always say I did order from Warlord Games, and I ordered enough to get free shipping, which I think ended up being like $80 US, and they did throw in a free sprue. So I always say that's where this came from, because I didn't buy it, but they gave me like late war Panzer Grenadiers, I want to say. This sprue is insanely useful for the bits you get. Like, I'm talking, it is just awesome. Sorry, yeah, if I go quiet, I'm still here. I'm just staring at these bits, trying to build them in my head on how I want this guy to look. I think I'm going to give him open arms, an open hand, an open... Yeah, I think that'll be good. So I'm just trying to plan this guy out a little bit. I wanted to give him a grenade, but in the arm that has. That's his S&G arm. Alright. Let's get building. There will be his little E-tool. Alright, so we got an E-tool cut out. We got his full kit with an extra canteen, extra gear bag, SMG ammo pouch, SMG arms, so it has the actual weapon in the reloading arm. Now we get to get his laying down body. Which I have plenty of, because I rarely use these bodies. I think with him, instead of getting him binoculars or binocular case. Maybe both. Maybe just binocular case. Alright, now I'm toying with the idea if I want to have his left hand holding a magazine to reload his SMG, or if I want him doing like the New York City reload where he's pulling out a pistol instead. I'm thinking the pistol. I mean, yeah, I cut out that arm, it's not a big deal. I can just put that in a bits bag. There we go. Yeah, we're always going to try and be a little extra cooler. We're Kid Bastion. Alright. So I'll save this arm. We don't need this one. That's where he's reloading the magazine on the SMG. So in this one, he's going to have his SMG kind of pointed up, like he just ran out of ammo, and then he kind of just did a New York City reload and just kind of pulled out his pistol and went to work. Alright, so right now we're just trimming up the parts before we start building the body together. You want to start with the hardest part, which is the legs, trying to get these to lay right. Like we talked about earlier, you don't want their, knees in, heels out, so you get your Achilles tendon blown off. Alright. Yes, I am officially excited for tomorrow's stream because there should be some cool stuff happening. Not that I don't think what we're doing right now is cool. I'm actually super excited. Very productive stream. We're going to finish this guy off, which means I just built a, 3-person forward observer team with SMGs. And we got 2 bridges painted. Not bad for a 4-hour stream. I didn't need the air observer team built immediately. It's in one of my bigger armies that I'm getting ready. But I did need the bridges painted, so that was nice. Alright, so this is going to be the hard part for this guy. So we're going to need to model his SMG up. Kind of like high port, if you're familiar with that term. He's prone, he's going high port with his Type 100, and then pulling his little Nambu pistol. as you guys can tell, I love building horde armies like this, you know, Imperial Japanese or Imperial Guard for the Warhammer 40k, but after a while you get a little tired. Not tired, but I guess tedious of building the same models over and over, so you try and like make them a little different and give them a little bit of a backstory. Or just show a little bit of dynamic action through your modeling. That's why I like kit bashing. I feel like kit bashing is a way to tell a story that sometimes you can't even do through painting. Painting, you can definitely tell a story, you can really show off a model, a lot of cool stuff, but kit bashing allows you to do some stuff you can't do with painting. And then when you combine good kit bashing and good painting, that's impressive. If you're seeing like those Space Marines who have like holes melted into them for where you can tell they got hit by Melta, you know, that's a great example of high quality painting and high quality modeling kind of coming together. Alright, so this pose is being a little challenging, but we'll see if we can get it. It'll definitely cool if we can. Alright. Now we will take this arm, trim it down, put it in, and then glue the pistol into it. Like I said, I think one of my sergeants actually has like 2 pistols, which is pretty cool. Alright, so here's what we have so far for this guy. You can tell he's laying down. He's got his SMG. He doesn't have his left arm putting in a mag. Instead, it's already up. So we're going to put a Nambu in that hand, like he's pulling his pistol out. Kind of a last chance for those of you who are Call of Duty fans, you know? There we go. You can either do it like he ran out of ammo, or instead of reloading, he did the quicker New York City reload. Whichever way you want to tell that story. It makes him look different from the other guy, and that's all that really matters to me. You know? Alright, we'll put his SMG ammo pouch on his drop leg. Give it a trim real quick. So again, with these SMG ammo pouches, I can't even show it on camera because it's so hard to pick up. You have to really look at it to figure out which one's the top flap and how the buckles go. We'll glue his binoculars on top of his gear. This just helps me 100% submit him as a part of the Air Observer team. All right, here he is, fully kitted out. You can see he's got gear all over his belt. Give me a second here. Super glue tried to stick to my arm. Here you can see him a little bit better. He's got his ammo across the back of him. You look on the left hand side. You can see he's got his on top of his bread bag and his scabbard. He also got his binoculars kind of loose out there. Probably not the best idea. He's got his drop leg SMG mag pouches. He's got his Type 100 SMG out, but he either ran out of ammo or, you know, it's faster just to pull his Nambu pistol and get to work. So nice. He's definitely has his binoculars. You can tell he's part of the air observer team, but you can also tell he's packing an SMG. Let's get him glued down on his base, and he get his E-tool down, and that's a 3-person observation team. Alright, there we go. There he is down in his base, and he has a little E-tool up there next to him. Alright, there you are. 3 nuns. 3 nuns sharing a ruin with a Imperial Japanese Fort Observer team. Historically, that would not go well. Ooh. That story probably would not have a very good ending, but hooray for it just being a tabletop game. So we actually got a full 3-person Fort Observer team, and what I really like about bolt action over some games like Conflict, like over sorry, not Conflict 47, but Warhammer 40k is there's not a lot of set way to build units. Like one of my favorites, and I can't say for all the factions now, for the Americans or for the Germans, there is a lot of examples to follow, even with the British. But with the Imperial Japanese, there is often not a lot of reference. What I mean by that is like I was making a Imperial Japanese medic, and there was like no pictures on Imperial Japanese medics, which is kind of interesting, you know. So I ended up having them running. There's a couple extra gear bags, which I put like a red cross on. Mostly that they're like stolen Allied medical supplies. And I put a canteen in one hand, like a sake bottle, and a pistol in the other. So saying there, the Fort Observer team, I mean, they sell models on the website, or they used to anyways. I think they're, during this Black Friday, they're kind of going through a weird sale. There's not a lot of Imperial Japanese stuff, but usually it has like a SNILF, Special Naval Landing Force, Imperial Japanese Navy guy with like 2 flags kind of signaling and some other kind of stuff, maybe with a radio. But with these ones, I kind of just went with, you know, what I could build out of the Imperial Japanese sprues plus the German late war Panzer Grenadier sprue that Warlord Games was nice enough to give me, which is pretty neat. But the same thing, a lot of times some people will only use like a one forward air observer, like maybe one or two people, but the rules have changed from second edition. Like, you don't really get the points for being a small team anymore. So to me, you might as well take 3 to be survivable. And I see the point of taking rifles on your AR artillery observers, because if you have medium mortars or heavy mortars, you're not going to be moving them, you know? Or if you have indirect fire, like pack howitzers or something like that, you're not really going to be moving those, you know. And why pay the points for the spotter when your forward air observer or forward artillery observer can be your spotter for those indirect weapons? When you have that and you're not moving your forward observer, I get equipping them with rifles, because at worst, when people get close to them, they at least have the link. They can reach out that 24 and hit their targets. I'm not following that guidance though. Only one of the armies I'm building actually has a heavy mortar. All my other mortars are light mortars, because I like to favor, with my playstyle and the way I like to play the Imperial Japanese, I like to favor high mobility. So I like to move my models up the board as much as I possibly can. So I generally rely on light mortars. Any kind of heavy weapon, you'll notice I have a few. Like, I have a couple like Chud guns, like Type 989 mountain guns and shit like that. Like, I have a few of those, and I have a couple of medium mortars and like medium machine gun teams, but I don't really build them. The reason why is I look at the points cost, and I like to take that type of firepower on my vehicles, because it gives me better mobility, usually better armor / survivability, with a little bit of a trade-off as far as points value and accuracy and shot capacity. Good example, light machine gun gives me like what? I think it's like 4 shots or 5 shots for the Imperial Japanese. Medium machine gun on a truck now only gives me 3 shots. It used to give me 5, now it only gives me 3. But if I take a light truck, which is 18 points, I can bump it up to regular. That way it's not getting a -1 to shoot. You know, that way when it moves and shoots, it doesn't get a -2. So I can bump it up to a regular, which is only like, I think like, it's like 20 points or like 23 points. And then I add in a 15-point medium machine gun, which is pretty damn cheap, because a light machine gun costs 14 to 15 points in an infantry squad. So a pencil-mounted medium machine gun is only 15. That's not bad. And then I can pay the additional 15 points to take a Kempo-Tai political officer in a rifle squad. Now, Kempo-Tai political officers are really great if you have inexperienced troops. So if you have inexperienced troops, the first time they take a casualty, they're not inexperienced, I'm sorry, they're green. And if they have the green rule, what happens is when they take a hit, when they take that hit, they'll roll to see what their type of veterancy is. It could be really good or really bad. If you have a Kempo-Tai officer nearby, which is basically Imperial Japanese secret police / commissar / political officers. Very scary. So that allows them to re-roll that. So it's useful if you're running bamboo spear fighters, which I'm not sure why people do. Bamboo spear fighters are like 30 points for 5, I'm pretty sure, where you can get 5 militia for 35 points. So for an extra 5 points, for an extra 1 point a person, you swap out your bamboo sticks for rifles. Again, they're inexperienced, so they may not be hitting very well, but they can still shoot 24, inches away. It seems like a pretty good, like a net increase. Like, that's something I never understood. I understand, points cost and trying to fit in as much as you can to a list. I get it. Trust me, I have a list that's 8 tanks. I understand. But with that being said, for 1 point a model, you can change them from having bamboo spears to rifles, which is basically just a spear that can also shoot. So, anyways, so when I take my militia, which are green, I generally take a Kempo-Tai officer. So with that being said, what's the point of a Kempo-Tai officer if you're not taking militia or bamboo spear fighters? Well, the reason why I take them is they become my truck monkeys. And what I mean by that, if you're familiar with that term, trunk monkey, or truck monkey, if you're familiar with that term, they are your chuck gunners, or basically your vehicle gunners. So you take that light truck that you made regular with a medium machine gun on it, and you throw in an inexperienced Kempo-Tai officer. So what that does is, for 15 points, you no longer have to worry about, is the enemy closer to your truck than your troops are. Now, you still want to get too close because it's an open top vehicle, and infantry can just raid it and that's not going to go well. Them assaulting an open top vehicle is not going to end well for you, spoiler alert. But you no longer have to worry about measuring to make sure that your transport truck is closer to your troops than their troops, otherwise it gets destroyed automatically. It won't get destroyed automatically because you have one guy in that vehicle. And you don't have to worry about him being inexperienced because he's using the vehicle's profile and shooting with the vehicle's profile. So that's actually kind of nice, with it being a regular. So it's kind of a cost-effective way to have a quote-unquote gun truck, but it only shoots 3. So, it can be useful, it cannot, but it is a wheeled vehicle, so you put it on a road and that thing can fly up a flank. And a light truck in 3rd edition, which is really cool. In 2nd edition, it carried 7 people. In 3rd edition, your light trucks now carry 8 people. So here, let me bring a light truck on the table so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Alright, so there we go. So now we have a light truck. Very, very points efficient. Extremely points efficient, actually. So for these guys, I mean, you're talking super cost effective. They usually cost about maybe 18 points. So yeah, so 18 points to be inexperienced, and then when you go from that, you're gonna bump him up to regular, and you're gonna give him that pintle-mounted mini machine gun here. Give me a second here. I'll go over the points exactly. Only because it's one of the things that I see a lot of people aren't running, and so the thing is as Imperial Japanese players, we have to get creative because we don't have a lot of. We got beat with that Nerf bat pretty bad, so we got to get pretty creative. So a full quote-unquote weaponized useful light truck is going to run you 38 points, and I'll show you how that I'll tell you how that breaks down. So usually an inexperienced light truck can hold 8 people, and it's 18 points. To bump it up to regular, it's 23 points. So it's 23 points for a regular light truck that can hold 8 guys, and then you pay the 15 extra for the pintle-mounted mini machine gun. So with that, again, it can hold 8 personnel. So you can put your Kibatai truck gunner or truck monkey, whatever term you want to use in there. You can also load it up with one of your 3-person veteran leadership teams, or maybe load it up with a couple lunge mines, or maybe an anti-tank team. You know, get creative, maybe with a flamethrower, get creative with it. But these things can run up the side on a road, you know, drop off whatever troops they have, and then a lot of people will ignore it, although they'll think it's an easy kill. Meanwhile, you can kind of flank around the side and kind of zoom behind enemy lines, and yeah, 3 shots isn't that good. But when you're harassing someone's medium mortar team, it's pretty fun. Because what's going to happen is, again, this is just 38 points. 38 points plus the 15-point Kipatai, and that's 2 dice. So, I mean, yeah, you're risking 2 dice and risking some points. But every turn they spend wasting shots at you, they're not putting into your, 15-man veteran infantry blobs. It's the same way I do my lunge mines. Everyone's like, yeah, but a lot of your dice count, 6 or 9 of those dice are just, suicide, lunge mines. I'm like, well, it's only if they die. I don't always have my lunge mines go off. They're not always hitting tanks, which is okay. Sometimes they're just a deterrent. Sometimes you put them out there almost like anti-tank obstacles that causes your opponent to keep his tanks in the back for fear of risking him, almost like it's a mental thing. If they do hit a tank and kill it, that's awesome. If they die, but they wasted, a tank's turn, firing machine guns and HE rounds into them, hey, that's great too, because you only have about 6 turns on a game. I'm not getting super wacko with it, but there's only 6 turns. So if a tank spends one of its turns hitting your lunge mines, which are only used there to kill the tanks, he's not spending that time putting the deadly weapons of that tank into one of your infantry squads. So lunge mines and weaponized light trucks can really play havoc with your opponent's mental plans because they're not expecting it. They're not expecting that many lunge mines, or not because no one uses weaponized trucks. I'm not saying it's a good tactic either, and it could be a really, really shit tactic. Okay, we'll park that bad boy up there. So yeah, it's one of the fun things. Like I'm trying to in these streams on more of a tactical talk, and it makes sense. So that's one thing I definitely want to push. So one of the lists I'm building right now is called Tiki's Mai Tai motor rifles, and it actually has no tanks. So it is a 1250 point bolt action 3rd edition list with no tanks, kind of. The armored platoon is led by a tankette, which has a heavy machine gun in the hull and a 360 medium mount machine gun turret, and then it has 2 Type 98 Spags, self-propelled anti-air gun trucks. So they're just trucks, just like these, just a little bit bigger. They're trucks with 20mm anti-aircraft guns in the back of them, and they have 2. I have 2 of those. And then each rifle platoon will have a, light gun truck, where it just has a Kempotai riding in a light truck with a medium machine gun. And again, they're just chocked full of veteran infantry, veteran grenadier squads, full of light mortars. So it's a very, again, I like to play a very high mobility, forcing your opponent to make decisions they don't want to send, because in their head they've already approached how the game's going to go. They're going to put their tank in optimal position, they're going to put fire down, they're going to have indirect fire, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. They know what their pieces do. What they don't know is what your pieces do necessarily. They think they do. So when you show up with something that's not very standard issue, something like mine that's very high mobility, it's also very high risk, because you could basically go out there. And one of my first games, not one of my first games, but the first game I played at the last event I went to, I was playing a Fallschirmjäger guy, and he had machine guns, snipers, and like almost like a verbal wind, some kind of like flak panzer thing. That thing just chewed through my forces, but I still got my tankette off the board like I was supposed to. I still charged my infantry across the board, and he just poured fire into him as best he could. He did some damage, but I was still able to get a couple kills on my side as well. So what was interesting is I watched him just pummel. He ended up winning the event, and he's a nice guy. I think he's from Texas. Beautifully painted army, by the way. Oh, his Fallschirmjäger, probably one of the most gorgeous bolt-action armies I've ever painted. And he was a super nice guy. A lot of fun to play with. But I watched him pummel a lot of the other players as well. And I'm not saying he wasn't worried about anything else, but I'm saying I don't think he had seen Imperial Japanese use like mine. He was just like, huh, what am I going to do? Like, he set up his gun line, but like, it's one of those things where it's almost like Starship Troopers. You set up a gun line, but the bugs keep coming. Because they're veteran infantry. They're very hard to kill, and they're fanatics. So it was very interesting to see that high mobility tactic work. And what it does, it forces your opponent to think and to make decisions they don't necessarily want to, something they didn't have planned ahead of time. And hopefully, if you make them make that many decisions on their back foot, they'll make a mistake. And when they make a mistake, you just capitalize on it. Didn't really work in the second game I played for that event. The guy was very good at what he did, and he also had a lot of light tanks and tankettes. I happen to have a lot of lunge mines, so we kind of canceled each other out. It came towards the end. I felt like I could have pushed the objective if I was really like that kind of guy, but instead I really just wanted a bonsai charge. So I ended up killing his artillery crew instead, which I felt was a much better idea. Even though it cost me the game, it went from a draw to a loss. I was totally okay with it because that guy was really good, and I think he needed to go on. But the last game, it's the last game of the day. Everybody's kind of tired, and unfortunately that last guy, we kind of outmaneuvered him with this high mobility Imperial Japanese force. And he started making tactical mistakes. And I felt that because I could see it. I watched him declare his shooting. I watched him roll his shooting. And then I watched him kind of step out from that zoomed in tunnel vision and realize, like, shit, I kind of shot the wrong target. Like, it was been more effective if I shot the other target. But fair is fair. He declared his shot. He rolled his dice. He killed some units, but not the right ones. And so that was kind of fun. It's fun to see the system actually work. Pushing on all the flanks. Splitting his forces and choosing him to make decisions to waste his firepower and waste his dice on certain things. Because a lot of people look at these lists. So with the Imperial Japanese, we're different from all the other factions with these one die suicide anti-tank guys. I call them lunge mines, not just for the algorithm and to make sure you can't say suicide, but historically it wasn't always a suicide. But for game balance, it is, and that's fine. But a lot of people are like, well, you're just throwing your dice away, or you're just trading dice at best. Yes and no, because what they're acting like, because I take mine as veteran, so what they're acting like is every time someone shoots at your anti-tank lunge mines, they're acting like it kills them, and it doesn't always kill them. Here, let's see if I can bring them out. Alright, so here's a anti-tank lunge mine. As you can tell, it's one of my quote-unquote special teams and infiltrators, so I put the little grass tuff on his helmet, you know, kind of make him blend in a little bit. So with these, a lot of people say like, hey, they cost 1 die. They're about 26 points if you take them as veteran, right? So they're like, oh, well, you know, if it kills a tank, you're just trading dice. It's not really a good dice count. But what I like is you're assuming that they're going to kill it. You can always have your lunge mines. If they're not moving that turn, there's no tank within running range, you can always just have them go down. And they're veterans on top of that, and they're infiltrators for 3rd edition. That makes them really, really, really hard to kill. And what happens is they're also terrifying. So your enemy will absolutely pour shots. So it's not about the dice count of how many dice you have or how many dice they have, or, you know, if they lose them, then you lose one of your dice. A lot of people keep focusing on that, which I'm glad. I want them to focus on that, because what they're forgetting is each turn, each unit you waste a dice shooting at them, you're not watching the more important units. So it's really a question of economy of force, if that makes sense. So hopefully I didn't bore you with that. I know we finished painting our bridges, which I think are actually looking phenomenal. Here, I'll bring them on stream real quick. There you go. Look at our dice. Oh yeah, look at that oil stain. You can see that oil stain going all the way down the bridge. That's kind of cool. Look at the oil stain going down the bridge. I like that. So yeah, we have our bridges that are painted and washed to give them a little bit of character. So we got those done, and we built a full forward observer team with submachine guns. Pretty awesome, pretty productive stream. And towards the end, if it's okay with you guys, I really enjoy taking the time to kind of do like a little tactical Tiki talk. I'll make them their own videos in the future, but I always kind of want to pass on any little bit of tactical crunch I have, particularly aimed at the Imperial Japanese players. I know for the few people who watch the stream, first of all, I appreciate you guys watching the stream. You guys are awesome, and I appreciate y'all chatting and participating in the polls. But I really want to reach out to the people who are brave enough to still run the Imperial Japanese Army or Imperial Japanese Navy in 3rd edition, because the rules are not on our side. But it's actually really, really cool to see people play it. So anything I can do to kind of help out with the rules is awesome. So I went ahead and entered the poll, and it looks like for tonight's stream, we talked about how do you want to roll your dice. Are you a live by the tray, die by the tray? Or are you, as long as it's rolled on the table, just re-roll crooked ones? Or other. So it looks like the majority of people are like me, you know, live by the tray, die by the tray. Maybe that's the only fair way to play it. Especially for the demo game, kind of teaching those good habits up front. It prevents people from fast rolling. You know, they throw it down, be like, oh yeah, I got 3 hits, and they pick up their dice before you can see it. Or they'll fast roll behind cover, like, oh yeah, I made all my saves. Like, this keeps it open and honest, and keeps it a game for ladies and gentlemen, you know? Like, makes it very fair and civil, as it were. Overall, I think it was a great stream. Like I said, we had a lot of people hop in. We had some people who was their first time kind of chat, which was cool. We had some people check in, even though it wasn't the best time for, which I appreciate. I got to bring the nuns back out because we'll be using them. This is their terrain I'm trying to finish for my demo game coming up. We did finish 2 bridges, which is cool. We talked a little bit about tactical trucks and truck monkeys and how to use those. And next stream, we should have something fun. It should be a treat. Bringing back a model that we've built before, but I'm definitely bringing back something new that's related to that model, so that'll be kind of fun to see. For those, like I said, for those of you guys who are watching all the way to the end, I do appreciate it. There's other videos. I'm still in the process of putting some more out. As I said, unfortunately, I got a lot of construction in my house right now with repairs from the storms. So the only time I can really operate my mic is at night. So it's kind of hard to do these and produce videos. But I've been editing. I've been working on it. I definitely want to finish the background music for this because I feel bad using other people's music. So that should be available next stream as well. And then we should start rolling back through with the lore videos. I really want to kind of get those pushed out. But ultimately, if you guys are headed off to sleep, I hope you guys actually get some good sleep. I hope you get the rest you need, so you can start your day off well and get the rest you need to fully recuperate. If you guys are headed off to work, I hope you have an absolutely great day at work. I hope it sails by super easy. I hope you have no meetings that could have been emails. Hope nobody asks, stupid questions or reminds the prof that, hey, wasn't homework supposed to be turned in today? Any of that kind of silly stuff. And ultimately, I hope you guys stay safe, stay hydrated, and please don't forget to relax today, because you're on Tiki time.
Shipwrecked soldiers on wooden sand, type array rifles in hand, hula gals with summer smiles, no war drums, just beach for miles. Ghost park by Tiki lights, shadows dance in tropic nights, sand beneath where boots once stood, paradise ain't so misunderstood. Lost in waves and hula tunes, tiki drinks and months of moons, forgot the fight in distant lands, just surf and play with tired hands. Bunkers built from palm and hope, coconuts and crude soap, imperial dreams, fade and sun, warriors turn beach bums. Shine to ocean gods we raise, praying for forgotten days, sake in the campfire glow, life's a surfboard, ebb and flow. Lost in waves and hula tunes, tiki drinks and months of moons, forgot to find in distant lands, just surf and play with tired hands.